Good evening, students. Welcome to the first session for paper 5 Indirect Tax Laws of CA Final. And these live virtual classes are relevant for May 2026, September 2026, and January 2027 examination. So, welcome to this class. And with this class, we are starting with GST as the part 1. We know that this in indirect tax law paper is of 100 marks and part 1 GST carries the weightage of 80 marks and customs and FTP has a weightage of 20 marks. So today is your first class starting with the GST with the concept of supply. And first of all, I would like to brief you with the few important things. It is very important to go through the substantive provisions of GST law first before progressing to the procedural aspects of GST law and then to the enforcement provisions. Is my voice audible? Okay. Actually, some student is sending a message, Neha, that ma'am no voice. So Neha, please check the net connection at your end, right? Then you need to go through the section-wise weightage because then you will understand the importance of substantive provisions of GST law, and then procedural aspects and enforcement provisions are also important. But yes, the substantive provisions of GST law, they are the backbone of GST. They carry the highest weightage. So your provision should be very clear. And once you start learning GST, once you start understanding the provisions of GST, start in a sequential manner, starting with the concept of supply, because then only you will be able to appreciate this chapter and understand it. Today's faculty, Vishal sir, is also there with us. Very important announcement, friends, I would like to make is that from 1st August 2025, from 1st August onwards, your classes will take place on Friday and Sunday morning, right? So 1st August onwards, that is from the next Friday. From next Friday, your classes, the schedule will change basically. So now today is Thursday, so Thursday, Saturday, and the next Thursday class will take place in July. And from 1st August onwards, classes will be held from Friday and Sunday morning. Right. So please there in the classes 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the morning. We are starting with GST. And for the evening, this is the first class today. So this we have talked about the importance of substantive provisions of GST, how they are important from examination point of view, and also that one compulsory question which we get in the examination, in which computation of minimum net GST liability is asked, that is also largely based on all the provisions which are covered in the substantive provisions in module 1, because concept of supply, place of supply, reverse charge, time, value, input tax credit. So it is very important to strengthen all these provisions. And one thing I would like to request all of you and all of your friends who are not there in today's class, that please join the class online. The knowledge which you will get while attending these classes online, that will be much more by attending the classes offline, because when you see the classes online, you can at the same point of time you can simultaneously ask your doubts from the faculty, and you can understand, you can connect with the faculty more. So please be there online. It's not a series or which you can watch later on whenever you get time as per your convenience. It is advised that you be there in these classes are for you only, that you get the full benefit of these classes. Please be there only. And all those students who are not there, you may let them also know about the revised timings for these final paper 5 LBC classes, and also encourage them to attend the classes, because at this point of time classes are starting. Sometimes students join later on and then they say that some topics are not covered, ma'am, how to proceed, how to go through them, how we can revise it. And once you join a class, just first have a brief idea of what all is covered in that topic. Just go through the provisions like you go through a novel, so that you just have a brief idea. Then afterwards, if you will attend the class, you will be able to understand the provisions in a better manner. You will be able to at the same pace at the where the sir is teaching to you, you will be at the same pace. Then after the class, go through the provisions, revise the topics which sir has taught you again, and then you may take the help of Saransh, or let us recapitulate section which is given in the study material. You can add, modify the notes which are given there. And you want to add something, you want to add second notes, whatever you feel that something is gray area for you, you can modify your own notes. So this way your provisions will get clear. You will be able to appreciate the provisions, understand the intention behind the law, and you will be able to revise the topics in a better manner. Now, over to Vishal sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Welcome, students. So today we are starting this new batch for a very, very important, and I'll say a very interesting subject of indirect tax laws. And I'm sure now, since you are in finals, you all have experienced this subject at firstly your inter-level academically, and then in your articleship practically. So before I start deliberating about the first chapter of our syllabus, I would request you all to just unmute yourself. Let us have some discussion relating to this subject. And let me tell you, I would like that our entire batch should go on a discussion mode, specifically because you all are now known to this subject. This subject is not a new subject to you. You have studied it once. Plus, you have worked on it. Definitely, I'm sure in your articleship, income tax comes once in a year, but GST comes every month. So you would have done something in GST, right? My point is that since we are at final level, considering two things: one, your final pattern of paper, and two, use of this in your career, because immediately after final you will be embarking in your professional journey as a chartered accountant. So at that time it is very important that you are thorough with each and every subject, specifically our core subjects like both the taxes, direct and indirect taxes, auditing, accounting, which are our core subjects, financial management. So it is very, very important that you are thorough. And in order that we reach that level of supremacy, we reach the level of expertise, it is important that there is an open discussion. At Inter, maybe you were more in the listening mode because the subject was. But now here, even when we are discussing the first chapter, I would like that I ask question instead of explaining. You discuss with me, and please remember, students, see, there is nothing right, nothing wrong in this world. Specifically with relation to studies, even I may carry an opinion tomorrow which the Honorable Supreme Court may say, no, this is not the interpretation, the correct interpretation is this. That is fine. And in fact, you all are still students. So it is very important that you now open up for proper discussion about the subject so that it adds value to your understanding, right? Now for next 2 to 3 minutes, I will request everyone turn by turn on your own, instead of I unmuting you or taking your names, just unmute yourself so that you can just share with me about your understanding or what you have done till now in this subject of GST. One by one, you can unmute and start speaking. Maybe you can look your name in the participant list and start in that sequence. So for example, for me, Chitra is there, Kunika, Geet, Pitambar, Saminathan, Sandeep, Ankit. This is the
Myself,
sequence.
Pitambar Mishra.
Yes.
Actually, I have taken a sabbatical leave for just I have given my job to complete my chartered accountancy. I was working as a DGM finance. Okay.
Oh, great.
So I have left the job, and so for me, okay, I have done IDT practically, like what we do in a company, but as a subject, it's like
obviously
different.
academically it is different. But in fact, I'll tell you, Pitambarji, since you have done it practically, and I'm sure the position which you are holding, you are not looking at the procedural part.
Yes.
Rather, you are looking at the critical part where some decision was involved, because I'm sure the matter used to come to you only when some notice was issued and the tax exposure was huge. Only then
Yes.
it would have
Yes,
come
yes.
to you.
That's the problem. Not in the like basic level. I have not been. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, Ayush, you have unmuted yourself. Yes, others. Chitra, Kunika, Neha, Richa, both Monikas.
Hello,
Yes,
sir.
Richa. Hi, beta.
Sir, I'm Richa. Sir, actually, I'm restarted my study after a break of 9 years. So
Oh,
actually, I have no idea about I don't think I have a simple basic ideas. I think I have about GST only.
mm-hmm.
So it's a huge gap. So actually, I
So it
don't
means
know
what,
anything.
if I'm understanding correctly, after your inter, this is the gap of 9 years, right?
No. I have completed my CA final first group,
No, so
and
means the gap is between CA final
yeah,
group 1, group 2, or between inter and final.
it's a group one and group two.
Okay, so it means inter
So
also. Why
CA,
I'm asking this? It means
yeah,
you do not have the basics of GST also, right?
yeah.
And between this 9 years, you are not in touch with the profession at all.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm actually in
fine.
a housewife.
Okay, but then you would have been studying something. Have you done something in GST, in income tax, in
No,
FM
sir.
before joining?
No,
No.
sir.
Okay.
Sir, I only have done the Customs Act and the FTP from your recorded classes
Okay.
last batch.
Perfect. Then my humble request, beta, to you will be that since for you GST is zero, right? I'll use this word
Yeah,
zero because
yeah,
did not do the inters in GST. You have done in the
yeah,
excise and the
yeah,
CST and the VAT
yeah.
Vagera,
I
right?
have done the exercises.
So just a humble request, try to read the subject beforehand, because see, now since we are at final level, I'll start with not reading line by line but directly by
Okay.
discussing. I assure you'll understand everything, but still,
Yeah, sir.
to more consolidate yourself, just do some reading and come. Like for example, we are discussing chapter 1. Go back home after our session, read the entire chapter 1, and before you come back for the next chapter, do the thorough reading.
Okay, sir.
Whether
Thank
you
you.
understand or not, don't worry, but at least something, when you have read and when we are discussing, at least you'll be ready with your questions.
Okay, sir.
Fine?
Thank you,
Great.
sir.
Fine. Great. Yes.
Good
Monica,
evening,
Richa,
sir.
Saurav. Hi,
I'm
beta
Neha.
Neha. Good evening.
Yeah, sir, I also started CA again after a gap of 8 years. I got married in 2016, and in
Okay, beta.
2017, I have given one attempt. And
Mm-hmm.
at that time of point, I got 198 marks out of 200, which we need. After that, I got baby one, then
Okay.
two, and get a long gap. But I was working.
Okay. So
Recently,
are
I
you in
just
touch with
left
the
my
subject?
job. Yes,
So are
sir.
you in
I
touch with the
know
subject?
how to work in GST practically.
Excellent. So it means now we have a combination, right? The three people whom I spoke, one was at the DGM level, so who was handling the highest level of the GST issue. Then you are in the mid level where you have done all the working part. And then I also have another person who is not doing anything in GST because she studied in the previous law and now she's coming to the GST law. Excellent. So
So
it is going
I
to be
was
fun.
working in my husband firm, and as well as in my brother have the business. I take care of all accounts of him, and my father's business, who also a good entrepreneur and take care of all accounts and filing of the returns.
So that's why I'm saying. So you have the procedural complete knowledge, right? So that's why I'm saying we have a
Yes.
combination, right?
Yes, sir.
Basic, mid level, and the uh, uh, highest level of GST understanding. Excellent. But then that will be fun
Actually,
because this will help others also. See what happens when we have a combination of participants, your queries would be of different level, right? Starting from very basic to very advanced, but that will help everyone. So my basic point is keep students, please, just my humble request is ensure that you are being with us, as ma'am also said, in live classes, because that will help you ask the questions up front. And also one more humble request, please ask questions. Don't keep any reservations ki bhai, how can I ask this question at final level, what people will think. Nobody will think anything, right? Yes beta, you are saying something.
sir, I just started CA as my son wants me to become a CA.
Excellent.
He's
That
8 years old, and he want that CA should be put in front of my name.
So he should be proudly be able to say in his school and other things that
Yes.
my mama is CA.
Yes, yes.
But
That's
my
the
blessings for this. I'll be really looking forward to hear your child call you a CA. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
My blessings, beta. Yes. Others. Kunika, Neha, other Neha, Monica, Saurabh. Just help me understand what you all are doing.
Hello,
Yes,
sir.
Monica. Hi, beta.
Monica this side. Hi, sir. This the same stories with me also. I'm
Same means
also going.
now we have three stories. Your is
Yes,
same with whom?
yes, exactly. It's also kind of the same stories with me. I also want to give exam after 2019.
Okay.
So, but I am starting my studies right from the scratch. But I have a practical knowledge of GST return filing
Till date?
as
Till date?
as a sorry, sir.
Till date, because you said after 2019. So 19 till date, are you in touch or it is exactly
Yes.
after
I'm
19?
in touch. I'm in touch.
So
As
19
my
was your which attempt last? Inter or final?
final, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. But then you are
So
working till date. So you are working
yes,
till date.
yes, I'm working in GST return filing and other procedural proceedings. जो भी होती हैं.
Perfect. Great.
Yes, sir.
Super. Yes. Others? Anybody? I would be happy to know more because see, since we are virtually attached, I'm not able to physically see and talk to all, but at least this way I have something back of the mind when I'm dealing with or talking to you all in the
Hi,
past.
sir. Monica Jain this side. Yeah,
Yeah, hi Monica.
I'm still in my office actually, so that's why I won't be able to talk to you properly.
That is okay. Whatever you can talk, if by chance right now also you can just want to add something, it is fine.
Yeah, so I joined CA firm only and practicing DT and IDT both
So
there.
right now you're doing articleship. Is your articleship going on when you're saying?
No. I completed articleship. Now I'm just doing job like in my.
So you are also handling the GST returns, the 99C.
Yes, everything like DT and IDT both.
And also replying to show cause notices of GST.
Not like I have DT part, not IDT one for.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
But you have insights about the GST subject, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Perfect. Great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bida. Yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good evening, Vishal sir. I am Geet Chauhan. So
Hi, Geet.
I just completed my articleship 8 days back.
Oh,
it was
after results, we added 2 years and we just roughly calculated when students should get free technically so that we can start a batch aligning that. Yes, Geet, go ahead.
Yes, and I would like to mention about my intermediate. I passed intermediate in May 2023, and for that also I referred whole of the BOS lectures, May 23 batch. Yeah.
Super.
And that time Arun Chajer sir was taking GST.
A very good friend of mine and a gem person and an excellent knowledgeable person. Yes.
Yeah. I'm also connected with him on LinkedIn after the result. So with all the BOS preparation, I got 6 exemptions in the intermediate exam out of 8 papers and got the city rank 4 in my city.
Sorry,
and,
got the
city rank 4.
Sorry, I didn't get this point.
City rank.
City rank. Okay, rank in your city. Excellent, excellent. Which city you belong to?
I belong to Jodhpur, Rajasthan.
Oh, beautiful place. And a very good friend of mine is there. Okay, great.
Yeah. And then I continued my articleship in Pune in a Ahuja Valecha and Associates firm.
So you practiced both DT, IDT in that?
My department was basically financial reporting services. So it included all the audit support and all the support services to the management. So if I have worked on audits, DT and IDT in an audit during the audits.
In an audit format from the audit perspective.
Basically I have prepared a GST reconciliation of 2 major entities.
9C. Okay.
Yeah.
So it means you have knowledge, na? So once you have done 9C, it means now you have knowledge of GST, and you're touch till date. You're in touch till date, right?
Yes.
Perfect. And now you are in your hometown or still in Pune?
I am in my hometown again for my studies because I'm going to study with BOS only. So preparing for May 26 attempt.
Excellent.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Same here, buddy. Yes, students. Others, please. More 5 minutes I have.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, sir. Good evening. I am Ankit.
Yeah, hi Ankit. Please tell me.
Sir, currently I am in second year of articleship,
Mm-hmm.
and my exam is like in Jan 27. So
Okay.
I am working in Tax Connect. So there mostly I am in GST only, like GSTR 1 3 week compliance working, and monthly TDS compliance, like TDS working, and like TDS payment working and TDS return. Those works currently I am doing, and some GST notices to reply drafting. Those kind of works I am doing there.
Excellent.
And also
You're from
like
which place?
CF,
Which place?
I am currently in Bangalore, sir.
Okay. Perfect. You're saying something else.
Sir, actually, like I have also done like my CF foundation and inter from ICAI BOS classes only, and I had cleared from there only.
Great. Super.
Yes. Thank you.
Great. So some have also replied me in a message because they are unable to speak because of their circumstances. But that's great. So it's great
Hello,
to know. Yeah. Hi. Please tell me.
sir. Hello, sir. My name is Swaminathan.
Yeah.
Sir, I attended a few revisionary classes held in last month. I really impressed on that revisionary class. Hence, I decided to join in the regular class. And I was working in company, one of the good company. I received around 1,50,000. I want to complete my CA final. See, this is my motive. That is what I resigned from there to sit and complete the exam.
Excellent, Swaminathan. So are you the same Swaminathan in the
Yes,
interbatch?
sir.
Okay.
No.
I was going.
Yes, sir. The same Swaminathan that earlier the revisionary class I attended few classes.
But that was, I think, last week in the interbatch you were there, na?
Not inter batch, the final batch.
Okay. Nee, because in interbatch also there was some Mr. Swaminathan. I thought you are same.
No, sir.
Okay. So you have experience of GST, beta?
Yes, sir. I filed GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B and done few reconciliation also 9C, 9, all these things are done.
Okay. So you have a complete knowledge of the GST compliance work, right?
Yes, sir. Fine.
Super. Great, sir. So let us then launch our actual teaching part. But as I said, instead of me speaking and you being in the listening mode, let us make it interactive. Maybe you can pose your questions also. And wherever I am posing a question, I expect an answer from your side. Fine. Okay. Richa has put something. Fine. So students, let us start. Now, see, when we are talking about a taxation law like GST, income tax, or in the previous era, you had excise, VAT. In any taxation subject, certain things have to be checked. So let me just start with something very crucial because at this level, as ma'am also said in the introductory part, you should be prepared for the substantive part of the law. So law has different parts. One is the procedural part, one is the substantive part. So at finals, it is more expected in the GST portion that you are well versed with the substantive part. That is, I'll say the conceptual part of the subject. And also because many of our questions are driven on the basis of case study format. So this concept becomes even more relevant. So let me just start with something very important. Now, whenever we talk about any taxation, be it income tax, GST, or the previous taxation, what is very important in any taxation subject is this. What is levy? Levy is the imposition of tax. So, you are required to pay tax because there is some law which is imposing the tax on you. That imposition is what is called as levy of tax. Now, most important is that this levy is done by parliament, not government. Be very clear, because generally if anybody asks you कि भाई tax आप पे कौन लगा रहा है, then we recall our prime minister, because we remember that he launched GST, and also somehow it has been imbibed in us that we always use the word government. So technically it is not the government who is imposing tax on you, it is the parliament. And who gives parliament the power? It is the supreme law of the country, which is the Constitution of India. So it is through this constitution that parliament gets the power to impose the tax on you. Now, how does parliament imposes the tax? Constitution says for imposing tax, the parliament should pass a law, and that is how you have act. So the constitution empowers the parliament to pass a law. Now, we all know that India has a federal structure of government where we have parliament both at the state level and the center level. So we have parliaments both at state level, we call it as the state legislature, and at center we call it as the parliament. So I'll be commonly calling it as parliament without getting into the difference. So at state also and at center also you have the parliament. The constitution has empowered this parliament both at the state and the central level through Article 246A to impose a tax called as GST. Yes, you all know the name CSI that will deal with over a period of time as we proceed. Now, what is very important is while giving this power to levy this tax, there is a distinction made by the constitution between two types of transaction. One is a transaction happening within a state, which is called as intrastate transaction, and another transaction which is happening between two states, which is called as an interstate transaction. So where the transaction is confined to one state, that is the supplier and the place of supply, both are within the same state, let us say state of Karnataka, then the levy or the power of levy is given to center and state both, and that is why the center levies its tax and the state levies its tax. But whenever the location of supplier, let us say, is in Maharashtra, whereas the place of supply, let us say, is in Jammu and Kashmir, the transaction becomes an interstate transaction. And in this particular case, the constitution says the power is only with center, that is the parliament. And in that case, the parliament levies one consolidated tax. Consolidated means comprising of both C portion and S portion. It levies one tax called as the IGST. So the center exclusively is given power to levy tax when the transaction is of interstate, right? Now, when the transaction is of interstate, what is interesting is it is made up of both the components, because GST is a dual tax. Remember this. We have heard all these jargons, one nation, one tax, etc. That is okay. But technically, legally, GST is a dual tax. Dual tax means both have the power, but both have the power only when it is an intrastate transaction. When it is an interstate transaction, the power is exclusively with center. However, Constitution Article 269A says that this tax, which will be levied exclusively by the center, has to be later on apportioned between center and state, because the tax has to be a dual levy. Now, just creating the background before I embark on my topic. Now, when we are talking about levy, now whoever is given this power, whether center, state, etc., everything in the GST law. Now see, whenever I use the word law, I mean act, rules, notifications, circulars, everything. This is law. And when I want to say only act, I will say act. When I want to say only rules, I'll say rule. But whenever I'll say law, you have to remember I'm talking about everything, because law is made up of all components of law. Now, coming back to my point, whenever the law is giving power to whichever parliament, whether at center or the state, to create a levy, it is first asking you to pass the respective act, and under the GST, You all know that all decisions in the GST are taken by the GST Council. So GST is a council, which is a body comprising of center plus state representatives, where collectively they meet. Now also we are going to have a very important GST council meeting. And in that, they take decisions about everything in the law, and accordingly amendments are made to the act or rules or certain notifications and circulars are issued. Now, when we talk about levy, for creating a levy, there has to be components. Now, what does the GST law says? Okay, powers are given, acts are made. Now, through these acts, the Parliament wants to impose the tax, the GST tax, which may be center, state, IGST, whatever. But for creating this levy, for imposing this tax, there has to be some components. First is the taxable event, then the taxable object, and then other requirements like the person and other things. Now, when you read section 9 of the CGST or the SGST Act and section 5 of the IGST Act, you find this levy, where section 9 and section 5 says that we want so many things present, and then only the levy would be created. Now, out of this, our first chapter, out of entire levy, is only going to talk about the first component, which is the taxable event, which we refer to as supply. Later on, when we go to the topic of levy, you will find the other components also, like taxable object is the goods or the services. This is the taxable object. Then you have the condition of person, you have the condition of consideration, you have the condition of business, right? Now, I'm sure you all know this. So I'm just revising for your benefit. Even if not, we are going to read that in that particular topic again. Out of all these components of levy, this chapter is only exclusively going to discuss about supply. So now let us start with supply in particular. Now, when I talk about supply, what is supply? Firstly, understand GST, or for that matter, any indirect tax like the earlier excise or sales tax or your service tax, is a transaction tax. Understand this. So any indirect tax is a transaction tax. Please understand and remember this. Now, what do I mean by a transaction tax? That is a tax which will be imposed every time a transaction is done. As against this, income tax is not a transaction tax. You do not pay income tax, or you are not levied income tax on every transaction. Rather, at the end of the year, we make a total summary of all the transactions that have happened. We classify it under 5 heads, and under each head, we try to find out that what is the net effect of all the transactions that have happened during the year. So, income tax law is not a transaction tax, but GST, service tax, excise, VAT, all these are a transaction tax. So basically, and even your customs, which is part of our syllabus, all these indirect taxes are transaction tax. Now, this transaction tax under the earlier law was different because the taxable event was different. Like for excise, central excise, the taxable event was the transaction called as manufacturing. For the central sales tax or the VAT, which is sales tax, the taxable event was sale. For service tax, the taxable event was providing services, and for customs, the taxable event is import, export. Now, customs being an international tax, that is tax on international transaction, it still exists. But all domestic taxes, I have only named 3, which are the most common one. There are total 17 different taxes which have been subsumed to make one tax, that is GST. And that is why we market is saying that it is one nation, one tax, because one tax means instead of paying 17 taxes, you have to pay one tax. That is how it is one. Now, earlier 17 different taxes having 17 different transactions, in other words, 17 different taxable events, have been merged into one tax called as GST. So the taxable event also has to be one. In other words, I want to cover manufacture also, sale also, service, the earlier transactions into one word. That one word is supply. So if I have to explain supply in a very generic or layman's language, I normally use this. Supply means sub, pay, apply. So in Hindi, if I say sub pay means on everything it applies. Everything means all the earlier transactions which were earlier levied tax separately. So you have to separately see whether your transaction was manufacturing, so go to excise. If it was sales, go to sales tax. If it was service, go to service tax. It was entertainment, go to entertainment tax. Now all those things have become one. That is why for me the simplest meaning of supply means sub pay apply. Means this tax will apply on all transactions. That is what is supply in the generic sense. However, this is okay for understanding supply in the generic sense, but we have to understand supply from the technical sense. Now, understanding supply from the technical sense require first thing to be understood is that firstly, it has to be a transaction. What type of transaction? Any type of transaction where you are exchanging either goods or services. So goods and service is your taxable object, but how it is exchanged? It is exchanged through some transaction. Like goods and service could be exchanged by doing a transaction of sale, by doing a transaction of renting, by doing a transaction of leasing, by doing a transaction of barter. So these are all those transactions through which you can exchange goods and service. Exchange for what? For a consideration. So for exchanging goods and service against a consideration, you need to do some transaction. That transaction is what is supply. So from very basic generic meaning, now we are slightly getting more precise on the meaning of supply. So for supply, you have to first check that whether you undertook any transaction through which your good service got exchanged against some consideration. Now, when I say supply means a transaction, the transaction may be of any of these types: sale, renting, leasing, barter, and so many types of transaction. Obviously, manufacturing, everything which was earlier is everything is covered. Now, the important point is that will all these transactions automatically be termed as a supply and will be compulsorily liable for GST? Answer is no, because the supply concept or supply definition has been technically framed under Section 7 of the CGST SGST Act. There is no definition of supply under the IGST Act, right? Just a minute, student, please. Yeah, sorry. Now, when I say the law has technically framed supply, means what? Now, even though generically I said supply means sub pay apply, being more precise, I said supply means some type of transaction which is exchanging goods and service with consideration. This is all okay. But when we talk about law, we have to be very precise, because if your answer is it is supply, you get into the tax net and all procedure and everything will start, and you in short get fit into the law. But the moment you say it is not a supply, entire law will not be applicable to you. So this is the relevance, this is the importance of this term. So in this entire subject, or for that matter any taxation law, I always say you should first start with understanding the taxable event and the taxable object, because unless you understand the taxable event, taxable object, you cannot understand the other provisions. Like in income tax, I will say always read the charging section 4 first and read the definition of income first. Then you should proceed with understanding residential status and the heads and the deduction, etc. Similarly, under the GST law, before we proceed to any other section, even the levy section, which is under 9 key, how tax will be levied, what are the conditions, before that you need to understand tax is levied on the taxable event of supply, means you have to perform something, you have to do something to come under GST law, and that something is supply. Now, how has law designed this definition? Now, if I have to talk about section 7, Section 7 has to be read with the 3 schedules, and let me tell you, GST law has only these 3 schedules. Schedule 1, Schedule 2, Schedule 3. These are the only schedules in the GST law, and all the 3 schedules are related to the definition, to the concept of supply. Now, how do you understand this definition or concept of supply? So for this, when you go to Section 7, subsection 1 firstly gives you the general meaning of supply. Within this general meaning, that is in subsection 1, there is again clause A, which is the most general meaning, and then B and C are some special cases of supply. So let me just change this. Instead of saying general meaning, because then it is repetition, I will say Section 7.1 gives you what will be included in supply. Then there are different subparts of 7. What is generally means the general meaning of supply, and then some special cases of supply. But then when you proceed, there is 1A. I'll be talking about 1A in some time. Then you have subsection 2, subsection 3. Chalo. Instead of me answering, I want you all to answer what is subsection 2 talking about, what is subsection 3 talking about. Whoever can recall. You can unmute or you can put it in chat, whatever is comfortable. So what is subsection 2 of section 7 talking about? What is subsection 3 of section 7 talking about? Students, I'm waiting for your response. Okay, I've got the first response. Manpreet says Schedule 2, but I'm not talking about schedules. You're right about the schedule, but I'm right now not talking about the schedules. Gurram Venkata says supply
So
made
is
without
the definition. Section 2 is the definitions of the GST.
Section 2 is not definition, beta. Yes, it is definition of the GST law, but right now I'm talking about section 7, Monica.
It's agent, like I remember agent that we talk about.
See, one is you have definitions in section 2. Every act, section 2 is generally the definition.
Okay.
Within GST law, you have all the definitions in section 2. However, our main concept, that is a taxable event, which is supply, is defined under section 7. And to understand supplies completely, you have to read the 3 schedules also. So right now I'm talking about 7, and within 7, subsection 1, 1A, 2, 3. These are all subsections of 7. I just want to know what is covered in which subsection. No, Sandeep.
Yeah, I recall. It's like all form of supply, basically transfer, barter, exchange. 7.1. Is it this correct, sir?
That is 171. Agreed. That's why I'm saying in 7.1 you again have some components A, B, C, where you have the general meaning. What you just recalled was the generic meaning. Then you have some special meanings of supply. That is 1. I want to know what is subsection 2 and 3.
Which is not supply. That is schedule 3.
That is schedule 3. What is subsection 2 and subsection 3 of 7? Nee, Pitambar, you are saying exclusion, but I'm specifically asking what is subsection 2 dealing with, what is subsection 3 dealing with. So subsection 2 deals with exclusion or 3 deals with exclusion? Sandeep, again, where is classification? this subsection. Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, subsection 2, I think, talks about neither as a supply of goods nor a supply of service. Some
Okay.
list of items.
Okay. That is subsection 2. Okay.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. No problem. See, I'll just give you the gist. Section 7, 1, A, B, C, etc. 1A, 2, and 3. Now, what is subsection 2 dealing with? Subsection 2 deals with those scenarios which the law says we do not want to consider as a supply. Right? So, subsection 2 of section 7 gives you a list of those transactions which the law does not want to tax. Let us call it as the negative list. That is on which no GST would apply. So subsection 2 deals with that, and subsection 3 deals with those transactions for which the law wants to provide their own classification. Okay, I'll put here. I think this will be more easier for you all to understand. So see, subsection 1, as I said, is trying to explain you what will be included in supply through a general meaning and then through some special meanings. Then subsection 2 says, I am giving you a negative list, whereby I'm going to give you a list of those transactions which will be no supply transactions. What is no supply? You are doing some transaction, but I don't want tax on that. So I'm calling it those transactions as these transactions are not supply. And then subsection 3 and subsection 1A, both these subsections helps me in understanding ki, okay, what is the nature of this supply? That is what we call as classification. Means what? Let me now give you the most important part. Whenever you want to check in any transaction that whether that transaction is a supply under GST or not, obviously you have to go to section 7 and read the schedules, but I'll give you the sequence. First, check if that transaction falls in the no supply category. So technically, my step 1 in checking whether the transaction is a supply or not is going to section 7 bracket 2, where you have two clauses A and B. We are going to discuss that in detail. Once you get to know that, okay, boss, my transaction is not fitting in this list, means it is not fitting in the list of no supply, then in step 2, you come to decide whether my transaction is now included in supply, and if it is included in supply, it is included under which A, B, C category. So first, you should always check, because see, why we follow this sequence? Because if your transaction is fitting in no supply, you're completely outside GST. Tata, bye-bye, done. So you should always first check, is my transaction getting covered anywhere in 7.2, which is no supply? Not getting covered, then come and check 7.1 to find out, okay, it is not exclusively kept outside GST. Okay, now is it included in supply through clause A, double A, B, C, etc.? Because every clause will have a different implication. Now your answer is yes, my case is included in supply as per 7.1b. Then step 3 comes. So when you conclude yes, my transaction is a supply as per 7.1 because of some clause, then I want to find out what type of supply it is. Now there are only two types of supply. Either it can be supply of goods or it can be supply of services. That is, you have to do classification. And for doing this, you have 7.1a and you have 7.3. Students, this is a very, very important thing which I am giving you. For exams also, that is handling the case study questions also, and also in real life when you are practicing in this subject, especially when you are handling litigation and a notice comes to you, generally I have seen we directly jump on the calculation part, how much would be tax, whether I will get some relief, whether there would be deduction. Don't do that. In GST, your step should be first check, is it a supply? And for this, you have to follow this. Go to 7.2 to find out, is it outside the GST completely? Whether the law has kept you outside GST by putting it you in 7.2 clause A, clause B. If yes, best, you are done with the law. Close the book, tata my bye. If not 7.2, then come to 7.1 to check ki acha, now I'm not completely outside the law. Let me check whether I fit in supply as per the definition given in 7.1 and do I satisfy the requirements. And after that, once you have concluded that yes, I am fitting in 7.1 in one of the requirements, so it means my transaction is a supply, then go to step 3, where you'll refer 7.1a, you'll refer 7.3 to find out, ki, okay, what is the nature of my supply? Is it supply of goods? Is it supply of service? Why? Because the entire GST law, entire, is based on this thing, whether it is supply of goods, whether it is supply of service. Everything in the GST law, place of supply, time of supply, RCM, exemption, tax rate, everything in GST law is dependent upon whether your supply is supply of goods or supply of service. So students, this is a very important point. So whenever you are handling a case study question, don't jump on finding the answer or the calculation, because maybe the answer is ki boss, it is not a supply in the first place. So you should follow these steps. Anybody has any questions about these steps? Because this is a very important approach that I'm giving you. Students, anybody, any question that you want to put across?
So since 7.1, like it's an inclusive definition, so what is the significance of checking? Once we have found that it is not in the negative list, then any transaction is supply. So what is the significance of checking into 7.1?
Very good. In fact, I was just waiting that somebody asked me this question, because when I said that there is a specific list which is no supply, and once you have checked that and you are not falling in that, I said in step 2, check whether you are falling in 7.1. So that is an obvious question. Ki, sir, if I am not falling in the negative list, it means I am a supply. No, because 7.1, when we will read, you will find that 7.1 also has some conditions. So there is a possibility. So in fact, now I'll give you the conclusive answer. There is a possibility that you may be outside GST. Why? Because you are fitting in step 1. That is, it is a no supply transaction because of one of these clauses. Or you are still outside GST because even though you are not fitting in step 1, but step 2, you are not satisfying the requirement. So as you rightly pointed out, 7.1 has an inclusive definition, but the inclusive definition comes with some riders, with some conditions. And until and unless those conditions are satisfied, you will not even fit in 7.1. Right, sir? Is this clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think, yeah, Mr. Who asked? Pitambar Asna?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yeah, great. So I hope you got the point. So you are right that if I'm not in step 1, so by default, I should be supply. But no, in step 2 also, you have to assess, right? Now, with this chronology in mind, we will proceed with reading the law in detail. And I will first read entire 7 just for creating a background. But now I will proceed in that sequence which I have given you. That is firstly no supply, and then supply, and then the classification. Fine. So see, this is the broad structure. So you have section 7, which gives you the meaning and scope of supply. Section 8 is very specific. We will discuss that later because that will be applicable. First, there is a supply. Then you go to the nature, whether it is composite and mixed. That we'll discuss later. So along with 7, you have to read the respective schedules. Now, what does 7 says? I'll first read the whole section just to create a background, but then we'll proceed reading details only in our sequence, because I want that you develop this approach for exams also and even for handling your real life issues also. Real life issues means relating to GST. Fine. So section 7 bracket 1, as rightly pointed out by Pitambar, it starts with the word supply includes. Now understand, students, now we are at the final level. So this discussion is very important. When you read different definitions, some definition says or uses the term means, and some definition uses the word includes. Now, what is the difference? When any definition uses the word means, it means whatever is given in the definition, that is final, that is complete. You don't have to look outside that box. But when a definition starts with the word includes, it means they have not given you the final list. They say this is also to be considered. Like here we are talking about supply. So this list should also be considered as supply. It means outside this list also, there can be something which will be supply. And that is where all confusion is. That is where all litigation is. Now, as rightly pointed out by Pitambar, ki sir, if you said in step 1, I checked and I'm not falling in any of the negative list. So by default, I will become a supplier. Why? Because the definition is inclusive, but my answer is no. And I'll be giving you some very interesting practical examples of this. That you are not fitting in list of a negative list. Still, you are not a supplier. Why? Because you are not fulfilling what is given in 7.1. Now, what does 7.1 says? 7.1 starts with the word supply includes. And what does clause A says? It says supply includes all forms of supply. Now, this is where, if you try to interpret, the section makes the definition circular. We want to understand supply, and it says supply includes what? Again, supply. But we want to understand supply. So we again go to the definition. Again, the definition says supply includes what? Supply. So I will say, instead of reading this as supply, for proper interpretation, read it like this. Transaction. So read this definition like this. Supply includes all forms of transaction such as. Now for the time being, keep this aside because they are talking about the taxable object. The transaction has to be of the taxable object, that we know, and the taxable object is goods service. We are going to discuss this in detail in the next chapter of levy. Right now, I'm not interested in goods and service in this chapter. So what is supply? Supply is the transaction. Then they start with the word such as. So even though the definition is inclusive, the definition puts a rider that when I say I will include all forms of transaction here, but this transaction should be such as, means similar to one of this. And that is where if I have to give you a simplified one word meaning of 7.1a, I will say supply means a commercial transaction. Now Pitambar will say, okay, sir, then what will not be a supply as per you? I'll give you an example, Pitambar. I have purchased this mobile phone, right? I'm using my laptop. These are two gadgets which all of us are carrying, all of us are using. If I have purchased this mobile phone, this laptop in my personal name, one possibility, then in the eyes of law, let us say income tax law or any other law, I will say it is my personal asset. Second possibility is I can purchase the same mobile phone, I can purchase the same laptop in the name of my CA firm. Same thing I can purchase there. Now understand the difference, everyone. I am selling this mobile phone today after using it for a year. I am selling this laptop after using it for 9 months because I want to upgrade to a better version and that is what is my need. Now for going to the better version, I'm first selling this old laptop or old mobile phone. Whether sale of laptop or old mobile phone is fitting in no supply, answer is no. No supply does not cover this. So I am not satisfying step 1. So I'm coming to step 2 to check whether it is a supply. I have to still check Why? Because this has some rider, and what is that rider? That my transaction should be something of this type, and which I have termed as commercial transaction. Now, what do I mean by this? Please understand. If I am selling the mobile phone or the laptop, now I'll add one more thing, my motor car. Let us say I'm having a motor vehicle of 50 lakh rupees. It was purchased for 50 lakhs. Now I'm selling it for 20 lakhs, second hand. Whether I will be covered under the GST law, answer is no. Why? Because my transaction, I agree it is not fitting in step 1, that is, it is not in the negative list, but it is not even satisfying step 2, that is, it is not becoming a supply. Why it is not becoming a supply? Because the requirement is, in order to become a supply, it should be some transaction. As I said, read this, all forms of supply for simplicity as transaction, such as sale, transfer, barter, rental, etc., etc., etc. Most important, made. So I'm making this transaction, or agreed to be made for a consideration. By selling my car, by selling my laptop, I'm getting money, no problem. By a person, I am a person. But what is missing is this. Am I doing this in the course of business? Answer is no. Is it in the course of my business? Answer is no. Hence, even though it is not in the negative list, still it is not a supply. Another interesting aspect is consideration. Let us say, I am giving away my asset free to you, what we call as gift. Whether it will be a supply, it will not be a supply as per 7.1a. Maybe it may become supply because there is some special scenario of supply in 7.1c, where even without consideration transactions are covered. But if my case is not covered in 7.1c, then it will not become supply at all. Again, same thing. I am not fitting in step 1. That is, my transaction is not a negative list transaction. Still, no supply. Why? I am not satisfying the requirements of supply in 7.1. So Pitambar, I hope I could answer your point with real life examples. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Now it is clear to you now?
Yes, sir.
So in order to be a supply, you have to satisfy both the steps. It should not be a negative list transaction, and it should fit in 7.1a, b, c something. Right? But for the time being, I'll skip entire 7.1. Because as I my step 1 is this. I want to first check the negative list. And why this is my step 1, I'll tell you. It is not created by me. It is created by the law. See this. Now, students, this is a very important point when you are reading and interpreting a law. If any part of the law, like this subsection is starting with this notwithstanding, you know what it means? It means that this part is superior. Superior to what? Either it will say notwithstanding anything contained in any provisions of this act. So this subsection will become superior to entire act. If it says notwithstanding anything contained in this section, so this subsection will become superior to entire section 7. In some cases, they will say notwithstanding anything contained in this chapter. Now, what is a chapter? Many times when you read the law, you'll find that some sections together are called as chapter 1 of that law. Other few sections are called as chapter 2 of that law. Now, if this is fitting in chapter 1, and this subsection says notwithstanding anything contained in this chapter, so this subsection 2 will be superior to all sections covered in chapter 1. But here it is saying notwithstanding only one thing, anything contained in subsection 1, it means it is superior to 1, and that is why you should first read and apply this. Because this is saying, boss, forget what 1 is saying, first listen to me. And that is why we first come to this subsection. This is my step 1 in applying the provisions of supply. Now, what you have to check is your activity, that is a transaction that you are doing, is it covered in schedule 3, which is the main negative list? If yes, what will happen? It shall be treated neither as supply of goods nor as supply of service. So I have simply called this as no supply for simplicity. So if my transaction gets covered in the Schedule 3 list, it will be considered as no supply. Or if you find any notification by the government, and obviously this phrase will continue everywhere, on recommendation of council. So I'm not talking about that because I already mentioned everything is coming as per council's discussion and recommendation. So if you find any notification by the government where the activities which are done by whom, which are done by government, either center, state, or by local authority, and what type of activities, where they are acting as public authorities, that is, they are not acting as business. So where center government, state government, or local authority is doing some activity, but they are acting as a public authority, then even such activities shall be treated neither as supply of goods, neither as supply of service. I call this as the sovereign function. So in short, the sovereign functions of government, center, state, local, will not be regarded as supply. But the problem is, very smartly, they have limited this by saying that only those sovereign functions for which there is a notification, means which is mentioned in the notification, only those will be regarded as no supply. So, to summarize, no supply will come out from two things. One is Schedule 3 list, or from some notifications which are under this section 7(2)(b). Now from here, we will be going to this list and those notifications where you will get a list of those transactions, those activities which are not treated as supply. So it will be completely outside the GST law, correct? See, so for studying also, you should proceed in this format only, so that when you are actually applying this in exam, so exam, there is a case study. You should start first checking supply. Then you should see goods and service, and then you should see other components of levy, that is section 9. But in section 9, that is a levy, the first thing which you should check is supply. And within supply, the step is check whether whatever transaction is given, is it in Schedule 3? Is it in the notification? No. Then check whether you are satisfying 7(1)(a) condition. Yes. Then you will see the nature of supply, whether supply of goods or supply of service. Right? Students, I hope you are getting what I am trying to put across to you. If you have any inputs, if you want to share something, you can put across by the time I reach that particular respective page. If by chance somebody knows the page number, just inform me. I can directly jump to that page.
I think around 1.82.
I also remember when I read last, but I just don't want to miss something. That's why I'm just, yeah, see, it is here. Okay. So, what is not supply? What is no supply? you find it in two places. One is, which is in Schedule 3. This is the list. And also by way of certain notifications. That also we are going to study. But first we have this Schedule 3 list, which is no supply or which is not a supply. And then you have the entire notification, which will be dealing with what is no supply. So this is the notification part. I'll first start with the notification part because that is very small and limited. So we can first complete that and then I'll come to part A, which will be the Schedule 3 transactions. Now, what does 7 subsection 2 clause B says? 7(2)B says that the government will notify some transactions which will be treated as no supply, correct? But these transactions should be, one, undertaken by the government, and second, these should be such transactions where the government are involved as public authorities. And that is where we call it as the sovereign function. Now, what are these transactions which are notified? Let us go to them in detail. So what are the notified transactions? So they have said till now 2 activities or transactions are notified. What happened? This is not working. So what are these 2 transactions which are notified till date? 1. Pay attention. Activity in relation to the functions of these bodies. Now we all have heard what is a panchayat, what is a municipality. So if there are any activities which are actually functions of these 2 bodies. Now you will ask, sir, how we will get to know what are the functions of these 2 bodies? So the answer is you have to read Article 243G and Article 243W of the Constitution. Article 243G gives the functions of panchayat. Article 243W gives the functions of the municipality. So both these articles of the Constitution gives you a list of activities which are functions of these 2 bodies. Now, if the central government, state government, local authority is doing any activity which is the function of panchayat, there will be no GST on that. I'll give you a very simple example of this. Every day, there is a vehicle coming to your doorstep for collecting the garbage, right? You are provided the cleaning. So everyday roads are clean. You are provided street lights. You are provided many of these, I will say, facilities. Providing these facilities, the garbage collection, maintaining cleanliness, etc., is one of the functions entrusted to the municipality and panchayat via these 2 articles. Now, interestingly, when your local body, which may be called as municipality, municipal corporation, by whatever name it is called, is performing these functions, it is not performing it free. It is charging you something. You pay for these functions in the form of the property tax. You are levied the property tax. If you see the property tax bill, you'll find a list of many of these activities for which they are levying the property tax. Now, interestingly, when you are paying this property tax, there is no GST on that. Why? Is the government not doing something for you? Yes, it is doing. It is doing the garbage collection. Had the government not done that, you would have to appoint some person or appoint some agency who will do that garbage collection for you, and definitely that agency would have also charged. So the same thing government is doing. But when government is doing this function or this activity is a function entrusted to them by the Constitution. So it means it has become their sovereign function. And when any such function is given or any such function is allotted to them by these 2 articles, even if they are charging for it, even though you are satisfying the conditions of 7(1)(a), that is, there is a consideration, everything, but we do not want to charge tax because it is specifically excluded. I hope this point is clear. Then this is, I believe, not in the true spirit of the law, but fine. What has been excluded is grant of license. license to do what? To run liquor shops. And I'm sure you would be knowing this, that state governments, because it is coming under the state prerogative, all these intoxicating items like liquor, tobacco, etc. Now, in some states it has been banned. In whichever states it is allowed, the government gives you the permit, one, to run that beer bar. That is where you can serve the liquor in the hotel, or even the wine shop license where you can sell. Without these license, you can neither sell or serve. Doing that without this license will be illegal. Now, for giving the license, the government charges you in lakhs and crores depending upon which city, which local limit you are taking the license for. Now, this fees which the government is charging, in my personal opinion, should not have been put in this list. But fine, that is a different politics. We'll not get into that. So what else is kept outside GST is the fees which the government has collected from you for granting you the liquor license. Right? Now, these are the only two things which are kept outside by way of a notification. Then there is one more thing which is kept outside. This is kept outside by way of a circular. Now, this is interesting. And rather, I'll say this is the height of stupidity. If you really understand why this provision or why this circular was brought, you will just be amazed to know that to what extent people can go. Now, what is this provision? Let me first explain you so that you'll understand why this circular was required. So, I am a transporter. Let us say I am a passenger transport company running buses between two locations from Mumbai to Goa, where my bus carries passenger on either side. Now, as per the GST law, I have to take registration for each place of business. So I have got registered this also. So this is my GST IN1 and this is my GST IN2. What is GST IN? My GST number. Now, we will study later in the other provisions that I am same person. I am Vishal Poddar, having one PAN number. So I am one legal entity. But in the eyes of GST, if I have two GST numbers, why? One for my Mumbai office, one for my Goa office, I am considered as two separate persons called as distinct persons. So just remember this, students. In the eyes of other laws, I am only one person. So I may have multiple offices across India, but I am only one person, one legal person. However, GST law says, since you are taking separate registrations, you are considered as separate persons called as distinct persons. Okay. Now, what is very strange, how people go to the weirdest extent of interpreting law is, when the GST law kicked in, somebody interpreted this provision of distinct person, read with section 7(1)(c), which we are going to discuss later, where you will find that when my bus starts from the Mumbai office, let us say today the bus departs in the evening, let us say around 7:30, and tomorrow morning around 8, it has to reach Goa. Again, tomorrow evening from Goa, it will start at 8 and reach here at 7. Let us say this is what is the routine. Now, interpreting 7(1)(c), which we are going to study later, some expert, I'll use this word expert, came out with a thought process that when my bus is traveling from this place to this place, there is a deemed supply under 7(1)(c). It is deemed supply. Why deemed? Because actually there is no supply. See, I am not selling bus. My Mumbai office is not selling or supplying bus to Goa. But because of the literal reading of 7(1)(c), some expert came up with this interpretation. And we have this WhatsApp university which spreads like wildfire. So within a week, everybody started discussing about this, that what will happen, whether every day when my bus goes from Mumbai to Goa, whether Mumbai office will be liable to pay GST on the whole value of bus. And tomorrow again, when the bus again comes back from Goa, whether Goa office will be required to pay tax on the value of whole bus. because of the interpretation of this 7(1)(c) called as deemed supply. Now, actually, the intention of 7(1)(c) is not that, but it was so interpreted by some experts. Now, this would have created havoc for the business because this is their daily affair and the value of bus is very high and they may be having multiple buses traveling between multiple locations. So what would be every month's GST outward liability? Okay, there is no ultimate effect because one offices or one registration's outward liability will be ITC for other, but still it would have created a big mess. Unnecessary documentation, invoicing and everything would have kicked in. So to avoid that, the law came up with a circular saying that, boss, whenever there is interstate movement of your modes of transport like buses, trains, trucks, etc., which is actually you're not in the business of selling these. In fact, this is your means of transport. Through this, you are running your business of transportation where your actual supply is the transportation service. But since these modes of transport are moving between two registrations, we do not want to cover it in 7(1)(c). Hence, they have brought a specific circular saying that it will not be considered as supply and hence not leviable to GST. Same issue later on came up with another item, that is there can be movement of rigs, tools, spare parts and those items which are already on wheels like cranes, where again these are moving between two of your registrations. Again 7(1)(c) can kick in and people will say you are supplying this from one place to another. That should not happen. So this transaction has also been regarded as no supply, not leviable to GST. So practically, students, I believe this is not required. However, just to avoid any legal hassle, they came up with this clarification. Is this fine? Now what is going to be very important is this
Excuse
part.
me, sir.
Yes, beta.
Sir, my query is about the non-supply of first point, interstate movement of the various modes of conveyance. In this point, the movement of goods or movement of the vehicles like train, buses. This is only for the one person who have different
Correct. Correct. It is for that only.
like the government buses running from one state to another state. It includes that trains, buses,
Everything. Even see, for government, I'm not bothered because they will have their mechanism of keeping them outside GST. I'm bothered about a private transporter. My buses are, as I gave example, are moving between my Mumbai to Goa office every day. Right?
Oh, okay, sir. Okay.
Fine.
Thank you.
Now see, these two you can very comfortably ignore, students. Don't prepare it for exams, not required. But this is what is going to be a very big point. But here I'll take a break. We'll just take a 10 minutes break. And after that, we'll resume and we'll go in detail with this point because this is the most important point for your exams. Be prepared to have a question on this in your exams. Right? Fine. But before that, a 10 minutes break. Fine, students? identifying a supply, where the first step is check if you are fitting in the no supply list. Now, in this regard, this very latest or recent amendment is about vouchers. Now, let me first explain you what the whole issue is. The whole issue is that you have something called as a voucher, whereby, let us say, I want to gift Richa on her birthday, but I don't know what are her choices, preferences. So what I do is, I go to a mall, let us say West Side, I give them rupees 2000, and I take a voucher, a slip, which may call it as a gift voucher or only a voucher, where it is written that 2000 rupees have been received, and this voucher can be used to buy anything from the West Side Mall. Not only in the same city, it may be any city. Now, I give this voucher to Richa as a gift, and I tell her ki whatever you like, you can go and buy. Now, in this particular case, there is a specific provision in section 13, section 12 of the GST Act, where they have mentioned about the time of supply. Now, what is a confusion? The confusion is that this voucher, what I have given to Richa, whether this voucher is goods or services per se, it means, can there be tax on the voucher? Now, actually, the tax cannot be on the voucher, or it is not on the voucher. It is on the goods or service which you purchase using the voucher. So whenever Richa will go to the mall and she will actually buy something, let us say she buy a pair of footwear for herself, or she buys some gadget for herself, at the time when she will be paying the bill, she will give this voucher saying that, see, out of my total bill of 20,000, 2,000 is already been paid. So I'm giving you the voucher. You adjust that, and then she pays the balance 18,000. Now, in this particular case, or this is how the vouchers are used. Now, the question that came up, why do you have this particular clarification, is, can there be a tax at the first point itself? That is, when I took the voucher from West Side by paying them 2,000, can there be a tax? Means, can there be a tax on the voucher itself? And there was a lot of confusion why somebody was calling that whether it is actionable claim. Somebody was saying that whether it is money. Now, settling all this, this particular clarification has come, which says that whenever I am, or anybody for that matter, is purchasing this voucher, I'll use the word purchase because actually I have purchased this voucher by paying 2,000. This cannot be taxed because the transaction in voucher by itself can neither be a supply of goods or supply of service, because voucher is neither of the two. Hence, there will be no tax when I am taking the voucher. Yes, there will be tax later on when this voucher will be actually utilized for buying the goods or service, in my example by Richa. So at that time, there will be tax on the goods or service. So there will be tax on that 20,000, and the rate applicable will be whatever is the rate. So there cannot be a tax on the voucher. That is what is the most important point, point number 1. However, then comes another aspect in voucher, that is that fine, when I as a customer or a consumer goes and purchases voucher from West Side, there is no tax, agreed. But there is another, you can say, flow of transaction whereby a company which is creating a voucher of 2,000. I'll give you a practical example. I don't know whether you have heard this word, Sodexo. So it is a voucher which is created by the company, and the company is virtually having a chain of its, you can say, distributors and suppliers, through which finally the voucher reaches the end consumer. Now, this voucher, which is saying that it is a voucher of 2000, is actually sold to the end consumer for 2000, but when the company sells to its distributor, let us say it is charging 1900. When the distributor sells to the retailer, it is charging 1950. So everybody is earning some margin in that. Now the question is that when these vouchers are actually sold between these chain of persons who may be your distributors, sub-distributors, dealers, agent, then whether there would be GST on that. And this is where the transaction says that yes, this is what? This is amounting to trading of vouchers. Now, when you are saying it is amounting to trading of vouchers, can there be GST on that? The answer is no, as per our above discussion, because the vouchers per se are neither goods nor service. There is no GST on this. However, if in the same chain I am passing on these vouchers through my agents, distributors, but over there they are acting as my agents, that is, their role is only distributing these vouchers or forwarding these vouchers to the end consumer, whereby I am not selling them at 1900 and they are supposed to sell at 1950, and the person is further supposed to sell at 2000, means there is no sale by them. It is simply they are acting as my supply chain, whereby my voucher of 2000 is made available to the final consumer, and these people are only acting as the in-between agent, for which the company is paying them some fees or commission because they are helping me make my voucher reach the end person. In this case, GST is leviable on the fees or commission. Please understand this. I will try to equate it with another example for simplicity, that is shares. We all know that shares is not leviable to GST. Why? When you study the definition of goods and your definition of service, which is our taxable object, both have excluded securities. Hence, shares are neither goods nor services, and once shares are neither of the two, hence the levy will fail, because for levy, taxable event, taxable object, everything has to be present. So the taxable object is missing. Now, when we say the levy will fail because the taxable object is missing, hence there can be no tax on shares. So if somebody is selling the shares, let us say I am selling the shares to Chitra for, let us say, rupees 2000, there will be no GST on this 2000 because the shares do not constitute a taxable item. It is not a taxable object. However, when I'm selling these shares, generally, practically, I cannot sell it directly. I always have a mediator in the form of brokers. So even when I'm dealing on the stock market, even though it appears that I am doing the selling directly, practically it is not me who is selling it. It is happening through the share brokers or the agents, because only through them I can transact on the share market as per the share market rules. Now, in this particular case, again, my shares are getting sold to Chitra, but it is getting sold through a person who is acting as a mediator, who is acting as an agent, as a broker, whatever name you call. And for helping me do this transaction, the person is charging its commission or brokerage. Now, there is no GST on the sale of shares. So there is no GST on 2000 because that constitutes the sale of share transaction. However, the person who is facilitating this, who is becoming the mediator through which this transaction is happening, and who is acting as an agent. So it is not a principal to principal transaction. This is what is important. It is a principal transaction through agent, and the person who is my agent is getting commission for his agency or broker services. There, the nature of transaction is different. It becomes a service which is leviable to GST. So the same analogy of shares apply to the transaction of vouchers. So students, please understand this, because this is the latest amendment and it is going to be asked in upcoming 2-3 exams. So I want you all to be very, very particular with this, because I believe this is going to be a asked question. I hope you all have understood this. There is no doubt in this. If there is any, please put it across. Students, anybody has any doubts in this, please put it across.
Sir, which means the voucher distributed through the distributor, sub-distributor, dealer on the principal to principal basis is a GST is not there. It is neither a goods nor a supply. Right, sir?
Correct. Right. See, so I'll decode it in a simple fashion, where the transaction is such that I am selling to A is selling to B, and C is selling to C. So it means there is a transaction of purchase sale of voucher. There is no GST, because in that case, the taxable object becomes a voucher, or which is neither goods nor service. But where I am selling the voucher to C, but A and B are helping me sell the voucher to C, that is acting as an agent. In that particular case, whatever is the service fee, brokerage, commission, which I will be paying to A and B, where the transaction is a different transaction. See, the underlying item which is ultimately getting sold is the voucher, same like the shares, but it is getting sold from A to C directly. But yes, B and C are acting as the in between, you can say the facilitators, the brokers. Then the nature of transaction between me and A and between A and B is of agency. So then it becomes a supply of agency service which is leviable to GST. Same thing for shares, same thing for vouchers. Is it clear, Swaminathan?
Yes, sir. See, if it is distributed on the based on the commission and fees, for that fees and commission, the GST is payable.
Because in that case, you are not saying that it is transaction of vouchers. You are saying you are helping me sell the provide those vouchers to the final customer, and for helping you are levying the fee or commission. So the nature of transaction is different. In that case, it is not dealing in vouchers. Correct?
Right, sir. Thank you.
Fine. Now,
Sir.
Yeah, please tell me.
Sir, actually, in my module, there is no such voucher
I know.
given.
Don't worry. See, this is the amended part. As you can see here also, it is in, it is the amended part. You will be getting this hosted on the website very soon, right? So you will get this. Don't worry. Nobody's module has. It is the latest amended part. Don't worry. See, in our classes, we'll be covering the amended part, but over a period, because we are still in the process of finalizing the final study material. So very soon, once it is completely finalized, it will be even hosted. So in next 1 month, you'll get these amended chapters, right?
Thank you, sir.
But since we are doing the class, it is my responsibility to take the amended course. Right?
Okay, sir.
See, Ayush, you are asking, was it clarified after some case laws? Ayush, there were multiple writ petitions. There were different, what you can say, judgments, AAR rulings. So it was multiple things which has finally led to the government coming up with a clarification to avoid any type of confusion. Geet, but I won't be posting this on the BOS app. Our BOS knowledge portal, which provides you the study material, will very soon be posting this on the in the study material section itself. So right now, since we are just working on each individual chapter one by one. So once all the chapters are revised, we will be making it as a proper study material and hosting everything on the portal under the name of study material itself. You understood? So right now, I won't be posting this on the BOS app for the time being. It will be only used in the lecture, right? Later on, once all our chapters are revised, it will be posted as a study material. Fine?
Sir, on information, actually this amendment and recent changes in BOS module, there is an amendment. In that the GST, this voucher has been updated, sir.
So that's what I'm saying. This is what is the query of other two people also. This is not updated, sir, because the module which is right now is there is of the previous exam. We
No,
are
no,
in
no,
the
no, 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 no. I'm not saying that, sir. This recent amendment is available with the Board of Studies as well. That's what I'm saying. If they are opening in that module, that BO section, there is amendment and development. There is a one section. In the
Exactly.
section, they updated as a statutory update.
So that's what I'm saying. So the point is that it is there, but it is there as a separate material called as the amendment or the statutory updates. But it will be incorporated in the study material also, which will take some time because we are in the process of doing that at BOS, right? So you are right. This is there because as and when things are coming, we are putting it in the form of statutory updates. But then to make it more convenient for students to study in the respective chapter, we are also merging it with the respective module, but that takes time because when we try to fit it in the module, the alignments change, so many things create a lot of problems. So it takes time to fit it in the module. So that will take time, but it will be hosted in next few days once all the chapters are revised. But you are correct that it is already there, but in the other section. Okay.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Now, this point is again important, which is mentioned over here. That is, no, Ayush Beda, I am not. So what is this additional services? So example given is advertisement, co-branding, customization, technology support, etc. Now, where there is any other service, like one was the commission or the agency service relating to voucher, that was also taxable. Similarly, if there is any other services which is different from the supply of voucher, that will always be liable to GST. Now I'll give you a practical example. See, if you see any voucher, on the face of the voucher, many times some branding or some caption relating to some other brand is given. It means what? In that voucher, we are branding some other product also. Now, the other company for whom we are doing that branding, for whom we are doing that advertisement in our voucher, definitely will charge something from that other company. So wherever we are charging from the other company for doing the branding or doing their advertisement, that is not the service of, or that is not the transaction of supply of voucher. So what we are trying to convey from all these points is only where the transaction is supply of voucher, that is what is outside GST. What is surrounding that, that is all in the GST. Please be clear with this point, right? Now here, next interesting part is unredeemed voucher. What is unredeemed voucher? So I gave this voucher to Chitra. Chitra was supposed to go and buy the goods or services against the voucher. However, the voucher had an expiry date which was 31st of July. Now, for some reason, Chitra could not go and buy up to 31st of July. Hence, obviously the voucher has become invalid. But I have already paid 2000 to West Side, which will now become a revenue of West Side. Now the question raised was, since Chitra is now not going to buy any goods or service, the government will not going to get any tax because ultimately no goods or service are bought by Chitra using this voucher. So now this 2000 rupees, which has become the income of West Side, would it now become leviable to GST? Now again the same question. See, to levy GST there has to be supply. Now if you are saying that okay 2000 rupees is with West Side, the question is we are not taxing income. That is prerogative of some other law. We want to tax a transaction and that transaction should fit in the parameters of supply. Now, even though this 2000 is the money lying with West Side, what is the nature of transaction? Has West Side given any supply? Answer is yes. West Side gave voucher for which they got 2000. Now the point is simply because West Side gave voucher for which I paid 2000, is that transaction of giving voucher a supply? Answer is no. We just concluded above, which is clarified that merely giving voucher is not a supply. So here the 2000 rupees which West Side received from me was purely towards giving the voucher, which is not a supply. So here there would be no GST applicable on this 2000, which is dealing with the voucher of which the time has expired. That is, the voucher has now become unusable because the validity period of voucher is over. That is not leviable to GST. So basically the only point to be understood is that transaction of voucher is not leviable to GST, but anything surrounding that will always be leviable to GST. Fine, students? I hope this entire discussion relating to voucher is clear to everyone.
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Great. Now, once this is done, let us now go to the Schedule 3, no supply list. Now, what is outside GST is those activities transaction which are covered in Schedule 3. These transactions which are covered in Schedule 3 will not be leviable to GST because Schedule 3 specifically addresses or covers those transactions which are regarded as no supply. Now, what are the important paras in this, or what are the important entries in this? Let us understand. First is services by employee to employer. Be clear, only one thing is outside GST, that is employee giving services to employer, first thing. And also important is this should be in the course of his employment. So when an employee is serving you, I'm using the word serving you because every employee serves you. When the employee is serving you and the employee is serving you in the capacity as employee, not in any other capacity, that is what is outside GST. However, if the employee is serving you in any capacity other than employee, it will be leviable. Now, what we mean by this, I'll give you an example. So let us say I am a director in your company. I am a full-time director, so I am an employee in the company. Now, as a director, I am rendering some services to the company for which the company is making payment to me of my director remuneration, or you can also call it as salary to director. Now, this is the payment which I am receiving as a director, and hence this is the payment which is in the course of employment because I'm a full-time director. See, if I would have been a part-time director or a technical director, the scenario would have been different because in that case, I would not have served as an employee. But where I am a full-time director, I serve as an employee. If I have to talk in terms of income tax, the company deducts my TDS under Section 192 of the Income Tax Act. Now, in this particular case, the same director, since I am also expert in taxation, I am giving some tax advice to company. But this is not part of my service or my position as a director. This is an independent thing which I am giving to the company. Now, the same person giving two different services to the same employer company, the tax treatment is different depending upon in what capacity I am doing this. Where I am doing this in the capacity as a full-time director under my service agreement, that is in the capacity as an employee, then it would fall in para 1 of Schedule 3, no GST. But the same person also doing some other thing, like I'll give you another example. Let us say I have rented out some premises to the company. So I have given my premises to the company for which the company is going to pay me rent. Now, in this particular case, when I have rented out premises to the company, then is this renting out a part of my salary contract? Answer is no. then these all activities, transactions, whatever I'm having with the company are not in the course of my employment, hence leviable to GST. I hope this part is clear. Now, interestingly, there is another side of this same entry. What is this other side of the same entry? That when I'm saying that what is outside GST is services by employee to employer, there is another side. What if there is any service which is given by employer to employee? What will happen for that? Because this entry only covers one thing. It is not saying service between them. It is saying service by employee to employer. It is very specific. Only one-sided entry is what is covered in this entry, not the other side. Now here, what is interesting to understand is, see, I'll first read what is given here for your understanding. Services that are provided by employee to employer in the course of employment is outside. However, services provided outside the ambit is liable to GST. This is what I explained above. Now, the second part in this is where employer is giving any service. It may be goods, it may be service. So let us say employer is selling goods to the employee because whatever employer manufactures, the employee is buying. Is it liable to GST? Answer is yes. It is not covered in Schedule 3. So whatever employer gives to employee is outside Schedule 3. It is leviable to GST. But there comes an interesting aspect in this. What is this interesting aspect? Pay attention. Obviously, when you are saying it should be for a consideration, it is implied that other conditions of supply are satisfied. If you are not satisfying other conditions of supply, there is no question. Anyways, it will be outside GST. Right? Now, there is an interesting aspect. What is that interesting aspect? Where employer pays something to the employee. In that particular case, you have to check, is that something done by the employer in the course of employment? I will ask, sir, what is this? Employer doing something in the course of employment? I'll give you an example, perquisites. What is this? Understand this. You are my employee. As per the salary agreement, I have to pay you per month rupees 2 lakhs in monetary form. But along with that, I have to provide you 1 lakh worth of perquisites also, because the CTC is 3 lakhs. I'm ignoring the other things like PF and all just for simplicity. So, where I am providing you perquisites, which is again part of the salary contract. The interesting part is I am providing you perquisites means what? Let us say I am providing you rent-free accommodation. I am providing you free motor car use. Now in this particular case, where I am providing you any of these things as a part of your service contract, which is what we call as perquisites in terms of income tax law, whether there will be any GST applicable on this. Now here, there are different views. You can interpret law in both sense. I'll share what is my understanding. My understanding is that where employer is providing any of these perquisites, which is a part of the salary contract, that is employer is providing this as part of the salary contract, it should not be leviable to GST for the similar reason what we are reading this entry. So this is one of the views. The second view is that since the entry is very specific, supply by employee to employer and not vice versa, hence this should be taxable. So there are two views relating to this. There is no very clear-cut opinion on this. So there are two different industry views. I am having the first of the views. Now, there are some pointers that we need to keep in mind. So first, this 192 TDS point I have already mentioned. So what will be outside GST? The simple way of looking at it is whatever is, wherever the TDS is deducted by the company under 192, you can very comfortably say that it is salary, it is outside GST. Now, point 65, this is important. Services provided on contract basis by a person to another, that is on principal to principal basis, can never be called as in the course of employment. So until and unless there is an employer-employee type of relation, until and unless we are standing in the capacity of employer-employee, all other contracts will be outside Schedule 3 and they will be liable for GST. Yes, Ayush is asking a very good question. Okay, sir, how will we answer when it comes to exam relating to perquisites? See, Ayush, now since you are at final level, my suggestion is you should give the both views which are there wherever possible, because it is a disputed point of view. So you can always give both the viewpoints, or as you also are putting, you can give the literal meaning saying that it is taxable. But I will suggest that since, because there are circulars, some circulars are hinting towards that, but the language of the circular is not clear. There are some judgments of, there is a very good judgment of Tata Motors. So because of that, because see, there is a reason why industry is having the other view also. And that is not completely denied. It will be time when finally some jurisdictional court gives a final decision. But till then, we will have to respect that, yes, there is an equally strong contention. So Ayush, my personal view would be that for the purpose of exam, you should give both the viewpoints. Fine. Then some more examples for this particular entry which are relevant, for which you may have some questions in exams. I am reading out. What is your question, Swaminathan? You are saying which means contract employee GST applicable. See, contract employees, whether they are employees, whether they are standing in the capacity as employee, I believe yes. So GST should not be applicable over there. I think you are talking with respect to this point. See, this point is not about contract employees. This point is about that whenever, see, like when a company is hiring me as a professional, there is also a contract between me and the company. And again, it is a contract between the company and a person. But whether this contract will be leviable to GST, answer is no. Why? Sorry, answer is yes. Why? Because the contract between me and the company is of profession. We are entering into a contract for professional services on principal to principal basis. So, Swaminathan, if you're reading point 65 as that contract employees will be liable to GST, my answer is no, because contract employees are still in the capacity of employees only, though they may not be on the payroll, they are on contract basis. But if you are making payment to them even under a, what you say, I'm forgetting that word, that is where they are on non-permanent basis, right? Still, they stand in the capacity as employees. But okay, giving a twist to this. Now, please pay attention, students. See, since we are at final level, it is my duty to give you all possible types of transactions which you may get. So here, in this same point of contract, there is again a twist or again an angle. What is that twist or angle? Many times where a company wants employees on temporary basis, that is not on their payroll, instead of they hiring them, they appoint a contractor, right? They appoint a contractor. The contractor will give them employees. So the company is entering into a manpower supply contract with me, whereby the company is least bothered as to who are the employees who are coming. They will give me the order that, okay, I want 100 employees today of this category, and I will be giving it to them, right? So this is where, again, the transaction changes. The transaction or the contract between me and the company is again on principal to principal basis, even though I am providing employee, but they are not the employee of the company. In that case, GST is applicable. So students, I hope you are getting all these carve outs what we are discussing, and it is not confusing you, right? Because this is very important to discuss, because these are the various angles from which the question would be asked in the exams, right? So between contract employee, what you have to see is whether the contract is directly between me and the employee. If yes, even they are on contract, it is outside GST because still they remain my employee. However, where the company has contracted with a labor supply agency, Where the labor supply agency will give you the employees, it will be leviable to GST. I'll give you a very simple practical example if this is sounding technical. You have a security guard in your building. Both possibilities are there. One, you hire the security guard yourself. The security guard becomes your employee directly, no GST. Second possibility, you do not want to have the headache of seeing whether the security guard is coming or not. There is a possibility that on some day the security guard may take a leave. Then you are there without a security guard. So instead of hiring the security guard yourself, you come to me. I am some ABC security agency. You tell me your requirement that you want security guard 24 hours. You tell me the requirement you want 248 security guards. It is my duty to ensure that for 24 hours, there should be a security guard at your doorstep at the building entrances. Whether they are the same persons, whether the persons are changing, everything is my headache. Now, in this case, same thing is happening. You are having a security guard at your doorstep, but you have not contracted with the security guard. You have contracted with me. In this particular case, GST is applicable. So see that the final outcome is same, but what changes is the nature of transaction. Fine. I hope this should clarify many things.
Yes, sir. In that case, the GST is applicable on the reverse basis or same basis. If the service provider,
But wait, 1 second. Actually, I did not want to get into RCM because it is part of another chapter. But since we are discussing, sir, why RCM? Where it is given RCM is applicable in this? Where is RCM in case of manpower?
Sir, I mean the security services which we are received by the company from the outside party.
But then, sir, there are conditions, na? That the security agency should not be a body corporate. You should be a body corporate.
If it is a body corporate, they will do the forward charges.
So there are, but yes, I agree to this that it is covered, but not always subject to some conditions. Agreed. You are perfectly right. Okay. Next point, any amount paid by employer to employee for not joining a competing business. Now, this is interesting. What is this? Many times when a person is leaving you, you say, boss, okay, you are leaving me, but you have worked with me for 10 years and you have worked with me in a very important department. And now you have insider information about my business, which can be detrimental if you join a competing person. Now, in that case, I enter into a contract or an understanding with you saying that, boss, I am paying you 1 CR. For what? So that you do anything, but you cannot join a competing business. Correct? I hope you are getting the example. Now the question is, again, what is happening? An employer is paying an amount to the employee. So obviously, employee is giving something to the employer, and that is why the employer is paying. Now the question is whether this is leviable to GST. The answer is yes. Why? Because here there is an independent contract between the employer and employee, and the contract is of not doing something which we normally refer to as forbearance. It is not your typical contract of service or salary contract. That is over. Now you are leaving my organization. I sign another contract with you saying that, boss, since you have worked with me for a longer period of time, I want that you do not join a competing business. But you'll say, sir, why now our contract, our relationship is over? How can you bind me? Then I say, okay, I will bind you contractually, whereby I ask you not to do something. That is what we call as forbearance. That is, you do not join a competing person, and you agree because I am giving you a consideration of 1 crore. So it appears same that employer is paying to the employee, but the nature of transaction is different. It will not fall in Schedule 3. It will be leviable. Another case scenario. Annapurna, an independent director, receives a sitting fees of 12,000. Since as per Companies Act, independent director should not have been an employee of the company, services will be liable to GST. Why? because independent directors are not considered as employees as per some other law. So many times you have to also see what is the standing in other law, whether that other law is allowing you to be treated as employee or not. Now, if expressly the Companies Act has this provision that such cases the directors cannot be regarded as employees, so it means such independent directors do not stand in the capacity as my employees, and hence payment made to them would be liable to GST. So this is the first type. Now in this there is 150,000 exemption that will deal when we'll come to 7.1c, because though it is related to employer-employee point, but it is part of 7.1c that will be covered there. Now, next comes is the services by courts. Now, please understand, students, like how we discussed previously, that where government is doing any function which is a sovereign function, there is no GST on that. Why? Because the government is there to perform those functions, which is their sovereign function. Similarly, when courts charge you some fees, like whenever you have to file appeal, there is some appeal fee, there is court fee. Only after paying those fees, you can avail the services of court, that is, you can get justice. So even for getting justice, you have to pay the fees, which is the appeal fee, etc. I'm not talking about the fees paid to your lawyer, that is different. I am talking about the fees which you have to pay to the court so that your case is taken up by the court, which is the appeal fee, which is the court fee, etc. Now, whenever you go to a court or a special court, that is tribunal, again what these courts are doing, they are again performing their constitutional function, which is a statutory, I'll say, responsibility put upon them by the constitution. Hence, it is not leviable to GST. So understand this, wherever you are performing any statutory obligation which is cast upon you because of that particular statutory position which you are having of a government, of a court, there is no GST. Fine. Now, again, there is an issue in this. Leviability of GST on the amount or fees which is charged by consumer forums. So you have a consumer dispute redressal commission. Now we have so many different forums which are created under different laws where you can take up different types of disputes. Now let us say you go to this consumer dispute redressal forum, which is set up to provide a less expensive, speedy, etc. redressal, and it is at the state level, national level, etc. as per the respective law. Now in this particular case, the question is, if you pay any fees over there, whether that fees will fall in this schedule entry and not leviable to GST. So what is given, that these all forums are not tribunal literally, as they may not have been set up directly under the respective article of the Constitution. So these are not tribunal in the technical sense. However, they are clothed with the characteristics of the tribunal. Means what? They are given a power similar to that of the tribunal, but they are not formed actually by the Constitution. Hence, the question is whether the fees payable to them would be leviable to GST or not. For this, we have a circular to clarify. What does the circular say? Fees paid by the litigants while registering complaints to the said commissions are not leviable to GST. Any penalty in cash imposed by or an amount paid to these commissions will also not attract GST. Now, technically, they are not tribunal, but since they are given the powers or functions similar to tribunal, hence the law has given them a special relief in the form of this circular. Now, on similar lines of courts, the second thing that comes is functions which are performed by MPs, MLAs, etc. So when you are in the capacity of any of these members of parliament, members of some municipality, member of some local authorities, and again you are performing the functions in that capacity, again it is like a statutory function, so no GST. And then a generic point, duties performed by any person who holds any position. And again, the position is created by the Constitution. So like the president and all these positions which are created by the Constitution, the CNAG, all these are outside GST because of this specific entry. So what is given here in point 68? So duties performed by President, Vice President, Prime Minister, Chief Justice of India, Speaker of Lok Sabha, Chief Election Commissioner, CNAG, all these are the positions created by Constitution. So whatever is their fees, charges, whatever they receive will be outside the GST because of this specific entry. And on similar lines, one more entry is given: duties performed by person who is again in the capacity of a chairperson or a member or a director, but of what? Of a body which is formed by central government, state government, local authority, and who is not treated as an employee. Because if they are treated as an employee, anyways, they are outside GST because of the first entry. Hence, in this entry, they are saying that even though you are not treated as an employee, still, again, because you are holding a specific position in a body created by government, we want to keep your functions outside GST. So you can say entry 2, entry 3 basically covers all those functions which are statutory functions. Now coming to an important entry is services of funeral, burial, crematorium, or even mortuary. Now, after the death of the person, different customs provide different rituals. In some customs you bury, in some customs you burn the body, etc. So all these services, now for even burying or burning, you have to pay some fees to the municipality. Only then they allow you that permission and they give you that death certificate and you do all these customs and rituals. The fees that you pay to them are outside GST. So all services of burial, funeral are outside. Similarly, till the time you perform this, you keep the body in the mortuary many times. So if, let us say, there is a time gap between the death and performing these rituals, you use the services of mortuary. That is also outside GST. And also the service of some truck or a van, where whichever you use to carry the deceased body, is also outside GST. Then comes a very interesting entry. This entry, student, is going to go a long way because there are so many litigations happening relating to this. Now the entry appears to be very straightforward. If you are selling land or if you are selling a building which is completed means which is not under construction, whose completion certificate is received and people have started occupying. So if any such building is sold or if any land is sold, it would be outside GST. Now, what is the litigation going on this? Land is outside GST. Okay. What about different rights like the leasehold rights or the recent big controversy on the development rights? Now, these are not land per se. These are some of the rights in the land. Now, when you give away these rights, whether there will be GST or not, students, since it is not part of your syllabus, we need not go into that. But just to update you, right now the present judgments are, the Honorable High Courts are saying that these should not be leviable to GST, classifying them under this entry number 5 itself. I'm not going to go into details of those judgments because that is not part of your exam syllabus. But still the law is evolving. We are still only 8-year-old law. So there is lot many things to be decided by the Honorable Courts. So in times to come, you will get the answer. But just to update you for the time being, this is what is the position. Now, in relation to this, one point which is important, which is covered here, that we will discuss is land may be sold either as it is or after carrying out some development. Now, what is this development? We call it as plotting many times. What is this plotting? So you take a big piece of land. Many times it is an agricultural land. Now you are called as the developer. What you do is you then go to the municipal corporation of your area, check out what are the terms and conditions of that municipality, and then you make a layout. Normally the words used are layout, whereby you create a whole society over here by making out different small plots, then making out roads, doing some type of sewerage line work, maybe laying some pipelines, also putting the electrical poles and everything, so that tomorrow this whole area can be used either for residential purpose or for commercial purpose. Now, when you do this, what you are doing is called as land development. As what they said, leveling, laying down drainage lines, water lines, electricity lines, etc. Now the question is, one is I am selling the land as it is. Second is I am selling the land after converting it into plots. And these are with all these amenities. The question is whether such developed lands, which we call as plots in our day-to-day scenario, will be leviable to GST. Now, there is a circular where the reference is given in this footnote number 48 below, which says that a developed land is equivalent to a land. So whether it is land which is barren without any such development work, or it is after development work with proper laying of plots and all, both are considered at par, both are covered in this entry 5, and both will not attract GST. But interesting point. Now see, this is what we are seeing right from that voucher point. So land and developed land are outside GST, okay. But I am the developer, or let us now say I am the investor who has purchased this land. Now, for doing this development work, I don't have the knowledge. So what I do is I hire a contractor. The contractor will do all this development work. Now, when the contractor is doing the development work, it means he is giving me the development services, whereby he will convert my barren land into plots which I can sell to you. Now, when I am getting this development work done from a third person, like in my case from some outside contractor, it becomes again a separate type of transaction. And this transaction of getting this development done is liable. Because again, the nature changes. It is same like whether you are selling the voucher or you are acting as an agent or you are doing some other activities like advertisement, etc. So sale of voucher, sale of shares, sale of land, these are outside GST. But anything around them need not be outside GST. That is what is the point. It's 2 minutes, students. Okay. Now coming to a very important entry. Again, I will ask you that, like how I said voucher is important. This, and rather I'll say all the further entries are important in Schedule 3. Why? Because there are amendments in these entries. Now, earlier, Schedule 3 said, what is outside GST? It said actionable claims are outside GST, and it said except 3. So there were 3 types of actionable claims which were only leviable to GST: lottery, betting, winning. Lottery, betting, gambling. Other than that, all other actionable claims were outside GST. Now this point has been slightly changed, and instead of giving 3, they are saying what is outside GST? Actionable claims other than a list of actionable claims, and this list is now named as specified actionable claim. So it means out of all actionable claims, few actionable claims would be taxable. All other actionable claims would be not taxable. Now, these few actionable claims which are taxable are called as specified actionable claims. And then we have a definition of what comes in specified actionable claims. This definition, which is recently introduced just, I think, 1.5 years back. Now, what is specified actionable claim? Specified actionable claim means any of these cases. So betting, going to casinos, gambling, again putting a bet in case of horse, which is called as horse racing, or buying a lottery ticket. Now, all these are different forms of bettings, gambling, what we in income tax called as winnings, right? Interestingly, a new thing has been added in this, which is this online gaming. Now we have today so many online gaming portals. The Teen Patti, the Rummy, the Poker, then the Ludo. And besides this, during this IPL, we have this Dream 11, whereby you create a team by selecting the players, and however the player performed during that real match, accordingly, you are given some points. This is what we called as fantasy sports. So it is sports, but it is also not real. It is so fantasy sports. Now, again, a very interesting dispute is going on relating to this gaming sector. I'll just highlight what the issue is. Will not go into detail because it is not part of syllabus. See, whether gaming is gambling or whether it is a skill, this is the dispute. Now, actually, the dispute is not of GST. It is not of GST. It is the dispute under the Public Gambling Act. Now, you would be knowing that in certain states, gambling is banned. The activity of gambling is not allowed in certain states because, again, like tobacco, liquor, gambling is something which is the prerogative of the state. The state has to decide whether to allow or not. Now, right from 1960 something, we have a legacy of dispute on when certain types of activities are run in the state, whether that activity would be gambling, because if it is gambling, it will fall under the Public Gambling Act. And if in that state the Public Gambling Act disallows, you are not legally allowed to do that activity, then people do it illegally, like how we find also many illegal these gambling centers where people go and do gambling. But if there is some legal raid or something, then it is an offense and they are liable for punishment. Why? Because in those states, gambling has been made illegal. Now, so far as you were doing some physical gambling activity, we could understand. Now, this has become online in the form of all these online portals called as fantasy sports, Dream 11, so many portals. Now you have these Ludo, Teen Patti, Poker, Rummy. Now, interestingly, what was confined till date or till few years back, physical gambling, now it has become virtual, it has become online. So anybody from anywhere can come on your portal and play the game. Now the question was, when somebody plays and when the person wins, this is where the question of gambling comes. However, under the same Public Gambling Act, there are equally decisions for all these rummy poker websites that these are not gambling. Why? Because they are game of skill and not game of chance. This is the very interesting difference. What is gambling? Where what you are playing is a game of chance. What is game of chance? By I am throwing a dice. If the dice comes 7, I win an amount. If the dice comes anything other than 7, I lose the amount. It is game of chance. But when you are playing Ludo and again you are throwing dice, it is not simply the throwing of dice that is going to give the result. You have to apply your mind that which move you have to do, which out of the 4 what you have out of that, which one will you move, where you will move, how you will place take your positions. Now, when you are doing that, is it purely a game of chance or some skill is involved? Like even in case of Teen Patti, Poker, Rummy, there are decisions by Honorable High Courts who says that, boss, this is not a game of skill. It is, not a game of chance. Rather, it is a game of skill. Now, that matter is still pending with Honorable Supreme Court to decide. And since it is a very big issue, it is going to take time. Now, in between this, we had GST. And in GST, this matter again came up because if it is a game of chance, it will get qualified here in Schedule 3. If it is not, it will be qualified as a normal service. Like how you join any other portal for getting any other service from the portal, you are playing a game through the portal, so it is a normal service. But since this is yet to be decided under the Public Gambling Act, so the same issue had become a major issue in GST, that if it is skill, it will become a normal service. If not, it will come here and then it would be differently taxed. Now, since this is still pending, I'm not talking about the GST too, it is still pending in the Public Gambling Act. Now we had the GST issue on this, where in the history of GST, the highest amount of GST notice of 22,000 crores was issued somewhere in 2019 or 20. And again, this matter under GST is obviously pending with Honorable Supreme Court. However, in between, in 2023 October, the government decided that, boss, let us put an end to this by giving an artificial concept, that is removing all this game of skill and chance janjat. They made a concept called as specified actionable claims and said that it will be taxable under GST irrespective of whether it is a game of skill or chance. So if you see the definition of this online money gaming, they have specifically mentioned here, we are not concerned whether it is skill based or chance based or both. So whether or not it is skill or chance, still we want to classify it here. So they have artificially brought this concept under taxability by bringing it under the definition of specified actionable claim. And in entry 6, they have said that what is outside GST is actionable claim, but other than the specified ones. It means specified actionable claims are taxable, and the specified actionable claim include all these. Fine, students. Now, interestingly, there is a small difference between these two terms. See, there is one concept called as online gaming, and there is another concept which is online money gaming. It is covered as specified actionable claim only if it is online money gaming. See, one thing is simple. Both are taxable under GST. So whether it is online money gaming or it is online gaming, both are taxable. But the difference is, if it is online money gaming, it is taxed as a specified actionable claim, which will later on go and see in the valuation chapter, that it is taxed at full face value. So you deposit 100 rupees in the wallet for playing the game. On entire 100, you have to pay 28%. That is the impact if it is treated as specified actionable claim. But if it is treated as only online gaming and not online money gaming, it is taxed as another service, which is OIDAR, that is OIDAR service, where you have to pay tax not on the 100 rupees deposited, but only on the service fee or the portal fee with which they are charging, and that also only at 18%. So there is a huge difference in the taxability. Now, you will say, sir, okay, you are saying it is a big difference, but then what is the difference? The difference between online gaming and online money gaming is, so firstly, all games that you are playing online is online gaming. So it means offering of a game on the internet. So firstly, online gaming is including everything, including even online money gaming. So firstly, everything is covered in online gaming, because whatever games you are playing online, it is online gaming. Simple. But then out of this, one part is online money gaming. Now, out of online gaming, what is online money gaming? So it means online gaming where the player will keep some money, now which may be in money form or in the form of virtual digital assets like bitcoins or all, whatever, in expectation of winning money or money's worth. So what is the difference between online gaming and online money gaming is, in online gaming, you are playing, but there will be no prize. But where in some online game, there is a prize, that is where there is a expectation that you will win something, which I'm using the word as prize, you can call it as anything. Like in Dream 11, if you see the ads on the TV, whenever this IPL is going on, they say that you can win up to 1 crore, up to 5 crores. And the price is as small as 100 rupees also and as high as 1 crore also. So they have given you range so that lakhs and crores of people come and play. What is the difference? Let us say I go and play online that Subway Surfer. Now, for playing that, the game has some subscription. Like you will find many games are having subscription. But that subscription is, let us say I put 100 rupees, they allow me to play for 10 hours. That's it. Whether I win or lose, I will not get anything. Then it is only online gaming. But where I'm putting this 100, and if I win, I'll get 1000, then it becomes online money gaming. So what is the difference between online gaming and online money gaming is, if there is a chance of getting some prize amount, some winning amount, it becomes money gaming, liable at 28% on the full face value. If not, it is only online gaming, then the tax is only on your subscription fee, and that also only at 18%. I hope this is clear to everyone. Right? Then these three clauses 7, 8A, 8B, and now a new one, that is this. Sorry, not 9. There was one more new one. It's not here. There is one more 8AB. Okay. Now, all these three which I have marked are dealing or relating to import-export. Now, what is this? Let us understand. But to understand this, you'll have to first understand import-export. Now, what is import-export? We have a definition in GST which is copy-pasted from customs. Import is defined as bringing into India from outside India. So physically, the goods should be brought physically into India and they should be coming from a place outside India. And opposite is the definition of export, which is taking outside India from India. Now, what is very interesting is that in order to constitute as import or export, there should be a physical entry into India of goods or a physical exit of goods from India. Fine. Now, if it is an import-export, we have very clear-cut law where for import you have to pay IGST on the customs port, and for export you have the option of not paying GST or paying GST and taking refund. So the law is very clear. Now, the challenge was these special transactions. When the GST law came in 2017 July, these entries were not there. Your schedules 3 ended at 0.6 without these changes because these changes are brought recently, but it ended at 0.6. These were added over a period of time after a lot of disputes and confusions. Now, what is this merchant trading? In merchant trading, let us say I am a person sitting in India. I get an order from US to supply PPE kits. Now, I'm giving a real life example. This happened during COVID, that we were having huge orders from European countries, US and all these to supply PPE kits. But during that COVID phase 1, phase 2, Government of India had put or brought a restriction on export of PPE kits from India so that there is no shortage in India. Fine. But you have placed order on me. And as a businessman, I want to encash this opportunity, but I cannot supply it from India because there is an express restriction put by the government. So what I did was, I found small manufacturers, someone sitting in Nepal, someone sitting in Bangladesh, someone sitting in Cambodia, who do not know you. See, I am a big businessman, so you also know me. You also do not know those small traders or businessmen, and neither those know you. So what I did was, I purchased those PP kits or I got them made from these small suppliers or manufacturers sitting in these small countries, and I dispatched them directly to you in US. Now, what happened was, physically, the goods directly went from Nepal to US, from Cambodia to UK. from Bangladesh to UAE. They did not enter India, neither they were sent from India to outside. Means physically there was no import export. And when physically there is no import export, though at least on document means at least in your books of accounts, you are showing that you have purchased from Nepal, which is a foreign country, and you have sold to US, which is again a foreign country. So at least on paper it appears like import export, but practically it is not, legally it is not, because it is not fitting in the definition. Now, since it is not fitting in the definition, there was a big confusion ki whether there will be GST or not. So later on, these points were added. So first was merchant trading. What is merchant trading? I am buying from a non-taxable territory, simply means a country outside India, and I am supplying to non-taxable territory. Most important, the goods do not touch India. So out and out, they say that we don't want tax, no GST. Second, now interestingly, when you see the definition of import again, now one is bringing into India, fine, but not only bringing into India, because when goods come into India, they first come and sit with the custom authorities. And then you go to the custom authority, you do the procedure, you file bill of entry, pay the custom duty charges. Then the goods are finally given to you, which is called as clearance for home consumption. Or I'll add one word, custom clearance. So when goods are imported by you, they will come and sit with the custom authorities. You cannot get the goods directly. You go to them, you do all the compliance, pay the respective duty charges, and then only they will give the goods to you, which is clearance for home consumption. Now, definition of import read with the judgments, which we will study in the custom subject, says that import is concluded here and not here. So, though literally the definition is bringing into India, now the judgment says import does not conclude here, it will conclude here. That is when you take the goods home, which is called as clearance for home consumption. Now, interestingly, many times it so happens that when goods are coming to India, temporarily they are kept in custom warehouses. For some period, you store the goods in custom warehouses because you don't need them immediately. So you are given this facility by the Customs Act that you can keep the goods in custom warehouses. Now, when these goods are kept in custom warehouses, let us say for 5 months, 6 months, and in between this period, you get a customer. The custom law allows you to sell the goods which are still in the custom warehouse, means they are not yet brought outside the custom warehouse. So till now, this clearance is not done. And if clearance is not done, as per law, it is not import also. Be clear. So no clearance done, so it is not import. The goods are still in the custom warehouse, but you can sell the goods while they are lying in the custom warehouse. Now for this, again the confusion was, if they are not cleared into India, then as per the definition of import read with the case laws, it is not an import as such. And if it is not an import as such, there should be no GST, because GST happens only when import concludes. So then the question was, what will happen to those sales which are happening while the goods are still in the warehouse? So I imported the goods are lying in warehouse. You come to me, Swaminathan comes to me saying, sir, I want the goods. I say, okay, let me get it from warehouse and give it to you. Swaminathan says, sir, don't get it from warehouse. I'll take the goods as it is. That is as is, where is. Let the goods be in warehouse. I buy it from you. You give me an invoice. Tomorrow, whenever I want, I will go and take the goods from warehouse. I said, fine. So I make an invoice and give it to you. You pay me the amount. Now for this, whether GST is applicable, entry 8A says for such in-bond means while the goods are still in the custom warehouse. Custom warehouse are also called as bonded warehouse. So while the goods are still in the custom warehouse, if they are sold before they are brought outside, that is before they are cleared, there will be no GST. And then there is one more transaction, which is high sea sales. What is high sea sales? High sea sales.
Sir, I have one question on this. In the merchant trading as well as the inbound sale, see, it is very clear. The goods is entered in the non-taxable territory to non-taxable territory. Then there is no GST. Also,
Okay.
if the person is charging some service charges or commission on that purchase and sale, is that GST will be applicable?
Answer is same, beta. Same like the shares and the voucher.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, the transaction changes. It
Yeah,
is
yeah.
related to that transaction, that is okay, but you are not taxing the transaction per se. It is something for that transaction that will be taxable.
Yes, sir.
Be clear with this. That is what is important in GST. So you should
Right,
see
sir.
what is the actual nature of the transaction, right?
Right, sir. And one more thing, if the inbound sale also, before clearance for home consumption, it's immediately sold to the exporter, immediately.
Hmm.
In that case also, GST will not
No
be applicable,
GST,
sir?
no GST, because still they are in the customs boundary, and till they are in the custom boundary, the sale does not, the supply does not concludes.
Okay, even though it is in the territorial water, it's an imported area, but it's not clearance for home consumption. Before clearance for home consumption, if any else happen, the GST is not applicable.
Correct.
Right, sir. Okay.
Fine.
Yeah, fine, sir. Thank you.
Now, let us say this is our map of India commonly drawn in during the school times. Now, you have Mumbai port here. Now, when the goods are coming to the port, till the time they enter our territorial waters, they are said to be in the high seas. Now, let us say I have ordered goods which are coming from UK to India. They are still in transit. Now, in our accounting sense, we call it as goods in transit. In the meantime, Ankit comes to me saying that, sir, I want to buy these goods. I said, Ankit, wait, after 10 days, the ship will come to India. I will clear it and I'll give it. Ankit says, sir, no problem. You sell it to me today. Whenever the ship will come, I'll go and get the goods cleared from the customs. I said, best. So I make an invoice and sell the goods, and Ankit makes payment to me. Now, when I'm selling these goods, the goods are still in the high seas. They have not even touched India. In such a case, whether such a sale will be liable to GST, again clarified, such sales which are called as high sales are not liable to GST. Fine. So remember these special transactions. And now, again, the most important part for the purpose of exams, a new entry which is added, and mind you, it will definitely be coming up in the exams in some or the other form, a case study question or an MCQ question. What is this? Activity of apportionment of co-insurance premium by the lead insurer to the co-insurer for the insurance services jointly supplied by the lead insurer and the co-insurer to the insured in a co-insurance agreement, subject to the condition that the lead insurer pays the central tax, state tax, union territory tax, integrated tax on the entire premium insured. Now, what is this? Let me first explain you what is co-insurance. So let us say Mr. Ambani comes to me. I am one of the insurance companies, let us say Vishal Insurance Company. Mr. Ambani comes to me saying that, Vishal, I want to take an insurance on my life. I'm more than happy because I'm getting a very big client. But he wants to take an insurance on his life of 10,000 crores, which according to him is his worth. And I also agree. For which I will be charging him insurance premium, which will be, let us say, 100 crores. I'm very happy. I'm getting 100 crore business at one time. But then I am also having a risk that if tomorrow something happens, I will have to shell out 10,000 crores, which is not my capacity. Now, in this case, there is a concept called as reinsurance, where I first take the insurance of this whole thing and I get it reinsured from some bigger insurance company like LIC. We are not talking about that. We are talking about the activity of co-insurance. What is co-insurance? Co-insurance is where multiple insurance companies, they come together and jointly give one single policy. So what I do, because 10,000 is too huge amount, too huge risk, so I contact Monica, I contact Saurav, I contact Ayush. These are also all different insurance companies. Between us, we decide ki okay, we will give Mr. Ambani this insurance policy jointly. like in your accounting language, if I have to say, we form a joint venture. No partnership, nothing. We are all four independent insurance companies, but we are going to give one policy to Mr. Ambani, and between us, we have divided or decided how much of risk each one will bear. Maybe we decided we will bear equally 2,500, 2,500, or maybe any other ratio where I will be bearing 1,000 and remaining people will be bearing 3,000, 3,000 of the liability. This is how 10,000 crore insurance policy of Mr. Ambani is given. Now I am the lead insurer. Lead means the one who has got this particular contract originally, but I decided to jointly do it. Now, Mr. Ambani is least bothered whether I'm single person or four persons. He says, Vishal, okay, I'm giving you this 100 crores. You give me this 10,000 crore policy. Fine. Now, I receive this 100 crore on which 18% GST I discharge, because that is leviable to GST, there is no doubt. But then this 100 crores, I will have to split between other three in some ratio. Obviously, the ratio is of the risk that they take. So out of 100, I will keep 10 for myself, and remaining 90, that is 30, 30, 30 crores, I will distribute to all three. Now, the question is, when I'm distributing to all the other three, their share in the insurance premium, in this joint insurance premium, this new entry says there will be no GST on this 90 which I have given to them, if I have paid the GST on entire 100. So if the GST is paid on the entire premium once, again there will be no GST when I will be sharing the percentage with the other co-insurer. And then a similar entry is again made for the other type of insurance, which is reinsurance. So what is reinsurance? Now, in reinsurance, what I will do is, I will take the whole insurance myself, and then the whole insurance I will get done from a big insurance company who has the capacity of doing this, which is the LIC, let us say. So I will get it reinsured with LIC. Now here, but what is kept outside GST? Service by insurer to the reinsurer, for which ceding commission or the reinsurance commission is deducted from the reinsurance premium by the insurer to the reinsurer, subject to the condition that the central tax, etc., etc., is paid by the reinsurer on the gross reinsurance premium payable by them. Now, what is this? Now, interestingly, when there is reinsurance, see the interesting part. I have to pay, I have received 100 crore as premium, and between me and LIC, I have decided that I will pay them 98 crores. Means I will keep only 2 crores for myself, because anyways the full liability is now taken by LIC. So I'm keeping 2 crores as insurance premium with me, and I am ceding. Ceding is a technical word, means I am giving away the 98 crore premium to LIC. But interestingly, you all know that in all these insurance contracts, there is also a commission taken by the agents. Now, in this particular case, when there is a commission taken by the agents, now since I have got this huge insurance policy, it is as good as I have also acted as the agent. Had LIC got this policy directly from Ambani, through me, I would have got some agency commission. So now what I say to LIC ki, sir, I am giving you 98 crores because now you are the actual insurer, but I will not give you full 98 crores. I will deduct my commission. Why? Had you got this policy directly from Ambani, you would have also paid commission to some agent. Now here, as good as I am your agent, because I have got this big insurance. So this is what is given, that whenever this reinsurance premium is given, it is given after deducting the commission, but we need not get into that. On similar lines of co-insurance, same point is given over here for reinsurance. Even when I'm passing on this reinsurance commission, there will be no GST if the GST is paid on the first premium, that is on first 100 crore when I receive from Mr. Ambani. If I have paid the whole GST, there will be no GST again on that 98 crore which I pass on to LIC under reinsurance. Fine, students. So this is all about our step 1, which is no supply. First by way of schedule 3, second by way of notification, third by way of view, circulars. Is this fine?
So in crux, reinsurance transaction is not taxable, and even if commission is deducted. Is that?
Sir, can you come back?
Suppose X company has received a premium of 100 crore, and
So X means I'm the company. See, we'll take this example now where it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Vishal company, your company took
Yes.
100 crore, and it
100 crore.
reinsured with LIC.
LIC. And gave 98 crores to LIC.
As a reinsurance premium.
Yes. So on this 98 crore, there will be no GST. And this 98 crore may not be fully given. I would deduct some of my, let us say, commission of 1 crore. So actually, I'm giving 97, but there will be no GST. See, I'll tell you the logic of both co-insurance and reinsurance. Actually, there is GST. But what they have said that I will pay GST to that company, but whatever the GST the company is charging, I will actually get ITC, input tax credit, which I am going to adjust against my 100 crore liability. So effectively, whatever this company is going to charge will become my ITC. So for government, it is only a mere formality. Are you getting this point? Actually, yes, LIC should charge me GST, but whatever they are charging, it will be my ITC and it will go to set off my 100 crores GST liability again. So effectively, there will be no any value addition to the government, only a step will increase. But this increasing the step was creating a lot of problem because within insurance companies, they have multiple co-insurance, reinsurance happening regularly. So just to give them a comfort, because otherwise many notices were issued कि you have paid less GST or you have undervalued, overvalued, etc. So they said, fine. Anyway, see, GST is a consumption tax. If you understand, right from manufacturer to the final, let us say if I'm talking about goods, manufacturer gives at 90 to wholesaler, wholesaler gives at 99 to retailer, retailer gives at 105 to customer. Ultimately, government gets tax of 105 because what is charged by this person will get ITC here, who will adjust against 99. Whatever tax is charged on 99, the retailer will adjust against 105, but eventually the tax is received on 105. All in between taxes are paid, set off, paid, set off, paid, set off. So that is no actual revenue to any government. The actual revenue is only at the end consumption level. That is why GST is a consumption tax, right? So the same logic is applied over here. Just to remove the in-between formalities and the compliances, they said that fine, if on the ultimate last customer end, the GST is paid on the insurance, then when you are passing on the commission, either under co-insurance or under insurance, you will not pay any. There will be no GST. That is what is the logic.
Right, sir. In nutshell, whether it is a co-insurance or it is a reinsurance, there is a no GST.
Yes, in a nutshell. If final GST is paid at the end. Fine. So with this, we conclude our today's session. I'm sure, despite of dealing with so many complex things, you were able to understand, and definitely because of discussion, you will be able to retain a majority part of that. That is what is the beauty of having discussion rather than simply keeping it one-sided. So let us continue this format in future also for all sessions. And for that, kindly read and come. Even though you may not be knowing much GST, that makes not much difference. At least if something is there which you have read, it will help you understand it much better. Right?
Yes. Thank you, sir. It's really interesting, sir. I'm looking at the time. It's a 9:08 now. I'm wondering how the 2 hours is gone just like that. It's very interesting.
3 hours. We started at 6.
Okay, sir. I joined late. Sorry.
Achha, you joined late. No problem.
Really, fine. Very insightful. Very interesting.
Thank you all. So
actually, I'm referring in study material. See, actually, it's prepared in a beautiful way.
Yes,
covering in the also. It's a wonderful material. I'll
tell you. See, now I'm on different forums. I even train officers. I always recommend our ICAI's module to them because there is no other book which is so beautifully drafted in a systematic manner also. And despite of so many complications, you will find everything easily at one place in a proper logical manner.
Yes, sir. First, they put the statutory provision and analysis and explanation, and in the pictorial presentation, it's everything looking. Everything is there.
It is a lot of hard work put by BOS all the persons who are involved in this designing and updating, because it is not so easy. Especially, in fact, updating is more difficult. Why? Because you have to remember and recall as to where all the effect of this one amendment should be given. So it is even more difficult updating the present material. But that is what at BOS the team does.
Yes, sir. We studied for this with 3 hours, but the effort put by that it's more than the 4 to 5 decade.
True, true.
Right, sir.
Great. So it was great session. I enjoyed equally, because if it would have been a dead session, maybe I also would have got bored very soon, because it is very difficult speaking on technical topic for such a long time. But only because you all were interactive and coming in with your pointers, it was equally enriching and equally energizing for me, and looking forward for such sessions. But again, a request: be present live, and also importantly, please come read, because that will enhance value for you. Fine. So
Okay, sir.
with
Sure,
this we
sir.
close. Good night. Take care and keep reading. Ashok
Good
ji,
night, sir.
good
Thank you.
night. Good night, Ashok ji. Yes, Ashok ji. Good night. Good night. Good night, all.
Recording stopped.